We are Retro Rivals, and you are watching The Old Ass Retro Gamer.
It's Taintacular!
Yes, it is. Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Microsoft Xbox Part 1 edition of my Video Game Collection 2023 live streams. Chris, the Old Ass Retro Gamer here. Oh, boy. Traffic sucks. Anyway, so yeah, this is going to be the first of 4 live streams all about my Microsoft Xbox collection. I have quite a bit. Actually, today is probably going to be the longest of the 4 because same concept that I did with the PlayStation 2 streams where I'm just covering an entire length of shelves per episode. This one is an entire length of shelf plus the one above it, which just had a few Xbox games, well, more than a few. So I just figured I'd just add those into this one. Plus, I'm going to talk about a little bit of my history with the old Xbox, the OG. So I think I talked about it in the Dreamcast streams that Microsoft had a hand in creating the operating system for the Dreamcast. It was a Windows-based system. And Sega was not aware that the reason that Microsoft was doing that was because they were gaining intel. They were learning things about video game consolation. And when the Dreamcast was about to go under, the guy who was in charge of Sega of America contacted Bill Gates and was like, hey, you gave us a hand by creating the operating system for our console. Would you be able to throw us a few $1 million so we could keep this thing going for a little while? Because we have a nice lineup of new games coming out. They had like Half-Life was supposed to be coming out, and like Propeller Arena and a whole bunch of other cool stuff. And keep it alive for a little while. And Bill Gates basically went like, screw you. We used everything we learned working with you guys in order to create our own console. We've got our own console to worry about now. So Sega went under, became a third-party software company, and Microsoft threw their hat into the video game console ring. And that rubbed me the wrong way. I was like, screw these guys. They have no business being in the console race because they basically effed, Sega, and I loved the Dreamcast. They effed Sega in the A. And, like, who the hell do they think they are kind of thing. So I was completely dead set against ever getting an Xbox. A couple of my friends were really interested. I was not. I was like, I'll get a PS2, I'll get a GameCube, but that Xbox thing, no. Yeah, screw those guys. Screw them. What's up, Oak City Gamers? What's up, Mondane? So I was completely against it. I was like, there's no... You came in a weird place. You did. So I was like, no Xbox for me. A couple of my friends did end up getting it. One that lived kind of far away and one that lived down the street. And I went over there and I played Halo. I got invited over to try it out and all that. They're like, "Oh, look, we'll play this Halo thing. We'll see what you think." And I was like, "I'm not going to like it. I'm telling you right now, I'm not going to like it. The hell with this." Went over there and Halo freaking blew my mind. We're playing it multiplayer, couch co-op or couch multiplayer. Couch versus, and we had like a blast at both of the friends' houses. And I was like, okay. This is kind of where it's at. I think I need to get one of these. So I was in pre-production. I was deep in pre-production. I was like maybe like less than a month away from starting directing my Star Wars fan film trilogy. We're just about to start the first one. It was December 2002, and at the end of November, I was like, I don't care if I'm supposed to be saving money for the shoot. I needs me an Xbox. So I went out and I picked up one specific game because there was one game other than Halo that was the system seller for me. It was like the killer app that this console had that I found out about. It was an exclusive to the Xbox that I was like, all right, I need this console now. So I went out and got it at Best Buy, brought it home, played the crap out of it. Found out later just how like above the curve or ahead of the curve Microsoft was when it came to this damn thing. Who the hell knew what 1080i was in 2002? Nobody. I don't think it was even like a common thing at that point. But the Xbox was HD ready. You could play games in like standard 240, 360, was it 480, and then 720. And then there were maybe 3 games that came out for this console that went all the way up to 1080i. Who had a widescreen television, let alone an HD television, in 2002? Nobody that I knew. I didn't even get mine until 2007, my first one. So they were way ahead of the curve. They saw shit coming. And bless them, because now as a modern gamer, it makes playing the Xbox so much easier and nicer because it's already ready for that kind of thing. Need a little drinky drink. Need my caffeine. Ooh. First day. Like I said, I picked mine up in November of 2002, I think. Yeah, I was completely dead set against it for the longest time, but like I said, Halo and this other game I will talk about in a bit really completely changed my mind. So yeah, I had a lot of fun. If there was a multi-plat available for... So at this point, when I bought my Xbox, I had the 3 consoles. I had the PS2, the GameCube, and the Xbox. And if there was a multi-plat game, I always bought it for the Xbox because it always looked better, not realizing it was because this thing was HD ready and it was able to process things better like that. So it looked better. It usually played a little bit better. I liked the PlayStation 2 controller more than the Xbox controller because the original Duke was not comfortable for somebody like me with like small hands. And the way that it was designed, where like one thumbstick was up here and one was down here, it was weird. It like felt off to me. But the PlayStation 2 one, was, everything was, one side of the controller looked like the other side of the controller, just reversed. So it was a little strange, but I got used to it, and I played the crap out of it. I loved it. I played it until I got my 360, and then I sold this thing off, I think, in 2000 Well, I sold it off to someone I worked with in 2008, I do believe, I think. And I remember right, like I sold it to this coworker, and like 2 weeks later, she comes up to me. She's like, "That thing don't work." I was like, what are you talking about? She's like, your Xbox, it doesn't work anymore. I'm like, what are you talking about? She's like, it just stopped working. And I'm like, it was working when I sold it to you. And I'm like, somebody drop it or something? She's like, I don't know, it just stopped working. I'm like, not my problem. Sorry. So I do enjoy it very much now. How about that? The only problem is the one that I currently have has stopped working. And the one that I currently have, like I said, I sold the original. I had the regular black Xbox that everyone else had. I even had the little remote control for the DVD player inside, the little remote control dongle that you had to plug into one of the controller ports. And I had that, sold that to them too. But the one I currently own is the Halo Xbox, the translucent green one. I got this off of eBay when I got back into collecting. Really cheap. I mean, like, you would think that since this is one of those limited edition or, special edition Xboxes that you'd be paying out the ass for it. And I think I paid $60 for it with two controllers, and they were the ones that went with this Xbox. The thumbsticks were a little worn down, but they still worked perfectly fine. And then, like, I don't know if we had like a power surge or something, but it affected the power supply of this thing, and it wouldn't turn on anymore. So I had Jason from Corpse Flood the last time I went up to visit. It was like back in November. Jason was like, I can take a look at your Xbox. I have like a bum Xbox at home. I can swap out the power supply from the one that I have and put it in yours and see how that works. He did it. The only problem was we didn't test it before we left. So, like, he plugged it in. He turned it on. He plugged it into the power. He didn't plug it into a TV. He plugged it in. He's like, hey, it turned on. I'm like, all right, cool, sweet. Bring it home, plug it in. It won't burn. It won't play any discs. It's like there's nothing there. So he's like, I might have done something to the laser lens or whatever. So he goes, I need to take another look at it. So until then, I can't really play my Xbox, which is why I have kind of stopped collecting for it a little bit. I really don't go out of my way to look for them because I can't play them. I won't be able to. Like, the Xbox 360 is kind of, it is slightly backwards compatible, but it's unreliable. So I don't want to take the chance of buying a bum game that I can't test and get stuck with it. So these games, man, these games. All right, so let's get into this. So we'll start off with, I don't remember why I kept this, but I have an Xbox official magazine demo disc. It's number 20 from July 2003. Basically, it's all about NBA Street Volume 2, which is a game I was not interested in. Oh, what's up, Peter? Playable demos on this are NBA Street Volume 2, Gladius, Inside Pitch 2003, and Jurassic Park Operation Genesis, one of those games that cost a lot. It has an early look BC, I don't know what that is, Soul Calibur 2, Star Wars, Knights of the Old Republic, and Top 10 Plays, and a video showcase of Amped 2, Brute Force, Dungeons & Dragons Heroes, Finding Nemo, Godzilla, Destroy All Monsters Melee, Mace Griffin Bounty Hunter, and Outlaw Volleyball. Like I said, I don't know why I still have this, unless it was because I wanted to be able to play Operation Genesis without having to, sell a kidney to do it. And the tab that most people would rip off is still here. It's hanging a little bit. Like part of it has come off, but it is still on. So whatevs. Inside Pitch. Ew. So let's get into the games proper with my favorite Bond game license. 007, Everything or Nothing. This is my favorite Bond video game, period. I do like other ones quite a bit. This is the one that I always come back to. I've played through this probably 3 times. This is the first one that had not only Pierce Brosnan's likeness in it, but also his voice. It was usually either or. And for some reason, they were able to get him to do the voiceovers as well as, get scanned for the game. This is the one that feels like a real Bond movie. It even has like an original Bond theme song. I think this was sung by Eve, if I remember correctly. Performed by Mia, or Maya, M-Y-A. Man, my throat. Demo discs are super cool. I only have maybe 2 total. I have to go get another one of these. I am a sponge today. But it's a bunch of different play styles. It's third person when you're doing the run and gun type stuff, and it's cover based. There's also driving scenes and stuff like that, and some beat 'em up scenes. It is super cool. It feels like you are playing an interactive James Bond movie. It's the first one that I think felt just like a Bond movie and not like a first person shooter that had like the Bond stuff laid on top of it. A lot of people like Nightfire. I feel like that one is one of those where it was an unrelated game and they just threw the Bond license on it. But I love what's it called? Quantum of Solace on the PS3, and I love Bloodstone. Bloodstone is really cool. Starts with a motorcycle chase. I do believe so. You can see it. Yeah, it is. Yeah, you can see it right there. But I love this one. My favorite Bond game of all time. Still haven't played this one because I bought it after the Xbox kind of went bleh. But I bought this because why not? Another licensed game. This is 50 Cent Bulletproof. This is like a 50 Cent version of Grand Theft Auto. It's like an open world criminal type of game where you're playing as, I do believe you're playing as 50 Cent, and you got, what's his buddy's name? Oh, man. Dr. Dre's in it. Eminem's in it somewhere. Yeah, Eminem plays Detective McVicker. Dr. Dre plays a streetwise veteran named Grizz. Young Buck's in it. Man, there is no, like, the light. I cannot even read this. I don't remember the name of the guy that... Oh, G-Unit. G-Unit's in it, too. I still haven't been able to play because, like I said, Xbox was down when I got it. But I do have the other 50 Cent game for the 360, which is, I think, Blood on the Sand. And because I had that, I was like, hey, you should probably get this and have the whole set. Collector things. But it looked cool. I always thought it looked interesting. Yeah, Everything or Nothing is the best one as far as I'm concerned, dude. Can't go wrong. It's the only one to me that, like, up until that point, feels like a real Bond movie in video game form. It's definitely better than Die Another Day. Next up is Advent Rising. This is the alternative to Halo. I know that, who is it? Majesco and Tommy Tallarico. Oh, almost had a giant belch. That's what I get for drinking soda. We're really banking on this to the point where they had this contest where you could possibly win $1 million. So this was a super high budget game. It was supposed to be one of those system seller type games, and it did not sell very well, like at all. So it's very Halo-esque. You play as like this pilot who finds out that he is like special, and he starts to develop special powers when this alien like army invades Earth space. And it's Halo in the third person. The only problem with it is the controls are a little loose. Like your character moves just a little too fast. And like sometimes you'll like try to like turn on a dime and you'll turn around completely like 360. And it's like, what's going on here? It's a little weird. The controls when you're driving, there's some driving scenes controlled just like when you're driving a Warthog in Halo. But the story is actually pretty cool. It's like this self-discovery thing. This guy realizes that he's got the powers almost of a god kind of thing. And it's really cool. It has great cinematics. The music is great. Tommy Tallarico does the music. When I saw the Video Games Live concert that Tommy Tallarico was going around, he was touring the country with, they played pieces of music from this, and it is beautiful. The graphics are nice, and it's fine. It's good. It's no Halo, but it's definitely a close second. So if you ever wanted to play third-person Halo, this is the game for you. I do recommend it. I put it on my Xbox Diamonds in the Rough games video that I did years ago. Gun it, that guy is great. Talking about Tommy Tallarico? You mean the Intellivision guy? Next up is Air Force Delta Storm. This is pretty much a long-going franchise. I think I have ones from this series on the Dreamcast. But it's airplane combat, just better graphics and a couple more planes that you can fly around and samey missions. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. It's just nothing special. I got that for, I think, $3 or $4. Third-person Halo sounds good. Which one are you talking about, Mondane? Which one is so much fun? Next up, we have another licensed game. You're going to see a lot of licensed games. Like, you should be surprised. Alias, I was really a big fan of this show when this game came out. I rented it from Blockbuster, and I was like, yeah, it's okay. I don't think I need to spend $50 on it. Oh, Air Force Delta? Yeah, if I remember correctly, I like the one on the Dreamcast. I don't really recall much about the Xbox version. G-Unit, gun it. Oh, G-Unit. But yeah, I don't remember if this is like in between episodes. It just says official story, dialogue, voiceovers, costumes, and music by award-winning TV show cast and crew, including Jennifer Garner. Music by Michael Giacchino and Alien Breed. Giacchino did the music for the show. I had a huge crush on Jennifer Garner back in the day. I thought that she was like a big badass, and I was like, just anything she's in, I'll watch. And then I saw Daredevil, and I was like, never mind. But it's a 3D like espionage beat 'em up, just like the show. There's some gunplay and whatnot, but it's not the greatest. The graphics they're not all that. They're good, but they look like PlayStation 2 graphics. You know, Xbox usually had a little bit better fidelity. But the controls, I think, are the biggest problem. And sometimes it's hard to figure out what you're supposed to be doing in certain areas because, like, sometimes the backgrounds just kind of like blend together and you can't see a door and stuff like that. I remember having issues where I was standing around going like, okay, now what? And just running around areas over and over again, going like, where do I go now? Which is why I didn't want to buy it back in the day. Who didn't have a huge crush on Jennifer? And then she got mad at Conan O'Brien because he called her out on some piece of trivia or something that he said you were full of crap, and she pouted on that on his show the rest of the night. Then I was like, you're a big baby. Anyway, Aliens versus Predator Extinction. I picked this one up at that disc replay place I'm always talking about for, I think, $5. And I was like, okay, I played the one on the Jaguar back in the day. That was awesome. I played the computer version of this. It was pretty cool. Like, okay, what's this going to be like? And I looked at the back and I didn't really put it together. I was just like, oh, okay, it's a third-person game. No, turns out it's a strategy game where you can play as the Predators, the Aliens, or the Marines. And you do like missions like a regular tactical game. And it's pretty cool. I remember playing this, and this one was in high def. This one like goes to 720, I do believe, and it is super fun. I did not know what it was when I bought it, and I was pleasantly surprised that it wasn't just another first-person shooter type of thing. I love me a good strategy game, so why not? Yeah, sneaked isn't a word. That was what it was, and then she pouted when he went to the dictionary and called her out on it. Sneaked, snuck, snook. This is the only game that I found at you combine it, a Goodwill, a Salvation Army, or a Savers that was worth a damn. I mean, I found good games, but this was like the only time I found something that I had never heard of before and ended up being kind of awesome. And I got this for like $2. It's called American McGee Presents Scrapland. This one is also one that I put on my Diamonds in the Rough list for that video that I did a few years back. And American McGee, when I saw American McGee's name on here, I was like, I don't care if it sucks. I'm bringing it home because he did American McGee's Alice, which was his take on Alice in Wonderland as like a platformer that I had on my computer back then. That was freaking amazing. So I was like, I don't care what kind of game it is. If it sucks, if it got terrible reviews, I'm bringing it home because he's the dude. And this is not the greatest story-wise. Actually, the dialogue and the voice acting is pretty poop-tastic. But it's like the world has, like, the humans are gone, and the world is basically populated by robots now. And there's like you play like this one guy who comes to this town. He's new, and he does like little missions for people and all that kind of stuff. But there's like this big conspiracy going on. Yeah, you can shoot down cops in the beginning. I remember that much. But it's a third-person action, some stealth, some vehicular stuff. But it's just really, really cool and like creative. The thing about American McGee is he's like a designer. He's like a production designer. And he makes things look beautiful. And this game is freaking beautiful and designed to the nth degree. And I was loving it when I first started playing it, to the point where I was like, I need to talk about this and share it with people, which is why I put it in that video. It's pretty cool. You can actually change shape at points. You go to this like it looks like a Star Trek teleporter booth, and you go in there, and if you've scanned other robots in the game, you can actually turn into them and pretend to be them, which is where the stealth stuff comes in. It's really cool. I highly recommend that one. Xbox wish list, you damn right. It is a StarCraft ripoff, but it's awesome because it's got aliens and predators and space marines in it, Peter. It's awesome. Awesome. This one is not going to be on your Xbox wish list, dude, because it's freaking Aquaman. This is considered like one of the worst games ever made. I got this at the exchange down the street for a whopping $1. And I remember seeing some review about the GameCube version of this, and it's just like you're underwater the whole time, but it's like combat in it is terrible. Like everything that you do, like the controls are just flat out broken. So I pretty much I'm a connoisseur of bad games, kind of like I'm a connoisseur of bad movies. So I kind of wanted to see for myself, and I played it for, I want to say, a whopping 10 minutes when I brought it home that day, and I was like, yep, the rumors are true. This is kind of garbage. But I'm not going to get rid of it because it's a talking point. It's funny that this game is so bad, and someone thought it was such a good idea to release this across all the consoles in the state that it's in, because it feels unfinished. I overpaid $1 slim dollar. Here, I did not overpay or underpay. I paid exactly what this game is worth because it is awesome. That is Arctic Thunder. This is a port of an arcade game. It's like the sequel to Hydro Thunder, but now instead of being in a boat, you're in a snowmobile, and you're shooting rockets at each other and all that, racing, finding secret passages to get a leg up on your opponents and all that. It's pretty freaking awesome. It's not local. It's local to my work. Buffalo Wild Wings still has the arcade cabinet, like a sit-down one of this in the bar area. And every once in a while, if I'm feeling up to it, I'll go and play it a couple of rounds, and it's still fun as hell. But I absolutely love this style of racing game where there's like hidden passages and unlockables and all that kind of stuff, and it's just very, very arcadey. Absolutely love it. Love it. Next up we have, this is not a port or arcade game. This was an arcade game, but this is not the arcade game. This is like a reboot. But it's Area 51. It's a first-person shooter? I think it's a first-person shooter. And I do believe David Duchovny is a voice in this, if I remember right. Yeah, featuring the voices of David Duchovny, Powers Booth, and Marilyn Manson. Marilyn Manson is this alien right here. And it's okay. The original Area 51, if I remember right, was a light gun game. This is just a first-person shooter, but it's all right. I remember I played it for just a little while just so I could see what it was like, and I don't remember much. But I remember having fun. And this has a lot of online multiplayer type things, and it even advertises HD TVs 480p. And I got to make a poot. You're welcome. After Extreme Snowmobile Movie, it ain't easy. A retired soldier of PTSD is released in the world and making it on his own, goes to Winnipeg to race his snowmobile cross country to St. Paul. Sounds like we need to watch it. What is it called? It's called It Ain't Easy. Let's do it. Got two of these. I got these for $1 each I got one of these for $1. The other one I had to buy. So I talked about it before that Half Price Books, way before COVID, was doing like these warehouse sales in Wisconsin where basically anything that hadn't sold at like the stores for the longest time would get sent back to this warehouse in Wisconsin, and then they would just lay everything out. There was like a table for games, a table for movies, a table for music, and tables and tables and tables of books, and then other junk. Everything in there was $1. Everything in there was $1. It didn't matter what it was. And I went there looking for games, and I found a good amount of things. And I found one of these there The other one I found for the PS2, but then I eventually sold that one just so I could have them both on the Xbox. And we are talking the Backyard Wrestling games. So Backyard Wrestling, Don't Try This at Home, and Backyard Wrestling 2, There Goes the Neighborhood. And I can now say that I'm proud that I have a game that is Juggalo approved. I'm sure that Tony, back in the day gamer, is so proud of me. So proud of me. Correct. It's called Ain't Easy. I never even heard of that, dude. So yeah, these are like the N64 wrestling games, but I don't know if they're actually officially licensed characters that I was seeing in those Backyard Wrestling videos that were pretty popular in the early 2000s. But it's okay, or they are okay. There's some unlockable characters. Obviously, you got a Juggalo, or you got like ICP that you can unlock in this one. But I actually had those DVDs of the Backyard Wrestling. A friend of mine rented it, I think, and we watched it at his house. And then I liked it so much because I was just like, these people are freaking crazy. This is like super entertaining. And I went out and bought a copy of it myself, and I would watch it every night. But when I would go to bed, and it would within the first like 10 minutes, I'd be out. For some reason, it was like there was some dumb shit in there that I was like embarrassed by. Like I was like, oh, I can't believe these people actually put this in this video. And then I'd be like, yeah, I'm just going to go to sleep. And I'd fall asleep. Every single night I would fall asleep watching this stupid thing. And then there was the random woman who was like in between rounds, just like they filmed it for filler just to fill out the DVD and to sell copies, because there's like this model that the guy who made the compilation did with this woman that would just like walk up to the camera and rip her shirt open and show her chest over and over and over again. It'd be like every 3 matches. And then all of a sudden, oh, look, there she is again. Okay. Sure. All right. But they were fun. I got rid of that DVD. I need to see if I can find a copy of it again, because I remember really enjoying it. Yeah, 2003. Yep. Next up, we have another licensed game. That is Batman Begins. I still have not played this. There was a point where I had a bunch of the Batman games on the GameCube and a bunch of the Batman games on the PS2. And then when I found out that they were on all of the consoles, including the Xbox, I was like, oh my God, excuse me. I'd rather just have them all on the Xbox. So I've been like slowly reacquiring them on the Xbox, but I got rid of them. It was like Rise of Sun Tzu and this, and then there was, I think, Batman Beyond and a couple other games. But this one, I remember it did not get great reviews when it first came out, but it looks pretty cool. It's like a stealth action game. It's like Metal Gear Solid when you're playing as Batman. And I think you're going through the events of the movies and then some, but I can't really read the back because it's so dark in here. Invoke fear, stalk your enemies from the shadows, unleash powerful moves based on the unique fighting style created for the movie, defend justice, and take on Gotham's most wanted, including Scarecrow and Ra's al Ghul. Feel the power of the Batmobile, tear up the streets and rooftops with lightning-fast vehicular combat. Play the movie. Embrace the darkness of Arkham Asylum and the alleys of Gotham, featuring the voices of Christian Bale, Michael Caine, Liam Neeson, pretty good set of skills. Katie Holmes, Cillian Murphy, Tom Wilkinson, and Morgan Freeman. That's pretty rare that they got all the actors to do this. Sadly, they did not make a game based on The Dark Knight or The Dark Knight Return or Dark Knight Rises, because those would have been pretty rad. But yeah, I need to sit down and play it if I had a working Xbox. Dark Tomorrow. Yep, that's another one. And this one, Batman Vengeance. This one is more based off of the cartoon, and you can tell because... but this is a 3D beat 'em up. I haven't spent a whole lot of time with this one either. Just as action with a vengeance, become Batman with blistering martial arts combos, over 500 unique animated moves, and a multi-functional cape with its own AI. Sure. Live the Dark Knight, explore, fight, sneak, decipher, drive, plot, or pilot. You know, just the thing that gets me about a lot of, like, the thing I really like about the Arkham games, at least the 2 that I played, is that Batman's a detective in it. Like, you have to like use that scanning thing to find clues and stuff as to what is going on, and then get information and stuff you need to know to complete the game. And a lot of these games don't do that. It's just usually like punch, punch, punch. But I wish more games would do that. But that one's not too bad, if I remember correctly. This one I bought at Toys R Us. I remember I ran out and bought it because I was like, I need a new first-person shooter. Halo 1 and 2 is done. Let's do this, Battlefield 2 Modern Combat. How did I not realize that this franchise was going to go as far as it did, and then Call of Duty would steal the subtitle for this one? But it's a first-person shooter where you're in the military and you're doing military missions and whatnot. And it's pretty cool. I remember I rented this, and I thought it was really odd, and then I ran out and bought a copy of it at Toys R Us when I returned it because I was like, I need this in my life. And one of my friends was just kind of like, that looks really stupid. That looks like a very generic cover. I was like, well, I played it, and it's rad. Shut your damn mouth. I loves it. Here's another licensed game. And okay, so the last time... Oh, I forgot this didn't have a manual. Shit. I should write this down that this doesn't have a manual so I can try to get one. Ooh. If I had a working pen. Damn it. Okay. And I'm back. In the last set of video game collection streams that I did like a few years back, I was using the PlayStation 2 streams to weed out games that I would rather have on the Xbox. I was like, okay, here's this. It's a multi-plat. I would rather have this on the Xbox. I'm putting it aside and I'm going to sell it. And then I did that the whole stream, all three of them or whatever it was that I did. I was doing exactly that. And this was one of those games. Reading Battlefield 2. Yeah, making good game and not good cover art. Well, back then, it didn't take much. We're talking Battlestar Galactica. I'm a huge sci-fi nerd, and I never actually finished it, but I loved what I did see of the reboot of Battlestar Galactica that was on Sci-Fi Channel. This is from that. And it is a starship dogfight simulator game. I love that kind of stuff, Wing Commander. So having that style of game mixed in with Battlestar Galactica's license, hells to the yeah. And I thought it was pretty fantastic. But I can't play it now because my Xbox don't work. And you can see how much I paid for this one. I bought this at Video Games Then and Now, my new current store. And it is pretty awesome. The graphics are great, and it feels like Battlestar Galactica. It does not feel like some generic little dogfight simulator game that they slapped the license into and just changed the designs of things. It's actually really cool, and it has a cool story. Here is some people hate this, other people love it, and we're supposed to still get a part 2 of this at some point. I don't think it's ever going to happen. It has happened, and I totally missed it. Somebody knows, let me know. We're talking Beyond Good and Evil. This one was a game that nobody paid a damn attention to, or any damn attention to, when it was first released, and it was a huge bomb. It got great reviews in the magazines. I remember that, but nobody bought it. So it was considered like a massive bomb. But then it started to gain like a cult status, like a movie, and all of a sudden in the 2010s when I started collecting, everyone was talking about it. Thing is, I didn't actually buy this copy. So at the time when I first started getting back into collecting, my girlfriend at the time was in a burlesque show, and I was doing the music. I was working the soundboard for it. And one of the guys who was like the photographer for the show, that the girl who had created the burlesque review had hired for every time we would have a show, started to see my posts of the games that I was buying every week. And I came to one of the shows, and I'm setting up the soundboard so I could do everything. And all of a sudden, somebody puts an Xbox 360 box in front of me. And I look, and it's him. It's the photographer. And I'm like, what's up, dude? And he's just kind of like, this is for you. I'm like, what is it? And he's like, look. And I'm like, are you giving me an Xbox 360? I'm like, because I already have one. He's like, no. That's not what's in there. So I open it up, and it was just filled with Xbox games, original Xbox games. And I had, out of all the ones he gave me 25 to 30. I think I had maybe 3 of them in my collection already. And this was one of the ones that he gave me. So I was super stoked to get this. And it's like an adventure game. It's like a third-person adventure platformer puzzler. And photography is a big part of it. And it's like you find out that there's an alien invasion conspiracy going on. I need to play it all the way through, but don't have a working Xbox. But there was a sequel coming out I heard it multiple times that there was one coming out. I don't know if it actually did. No concrete information surrounding Beyond Good or Evil 2's release, but the community has predicted release sometime in September 2023. Yeah, it was supposed to have been out like 4 years ago or something. I remember, like, wasn't it during a Microsoft, like at E3 or something? They were like, Beyond Good and Evil 2 is going to be like an exclusive or something. I don't know. Here's one of my all-time favorite first-person shooters, and I talked about this, and I do believe it was my PS2 Diamonds in the Rough stream or video, but same thing happened in that stream for the PlayStation 2 games where I was like, I'd rather have this for the Xbox, and that's Black. So I swapped out my PS2 version for the Xbox version. This is probably, at the time that I played this, the greatest first-person shooter I had ever played. Beat out Halo and like the story mode, because this is like playing a Michael Bay movie. It is like everything you shoot will explode. Like, oh, a telephone pole. Boom. Oh, look, a dog. Boom. Everything explodes. Everything turns into embers. It is awesome. Tons of cool weapons that you pick up. The story is really rad. It's about like a Black Ops gone wrong. And it is fantastic. It is so much fun. To the point where I started telling everyone at work about it. Next thing you know, people are coming up to me and saying, like, God damn, dude, that game is fantastic. How did I not know about this? And one of the guys that I worked with was, we need a sequel to that game. We need to call it Blacker Than Black. I'm like, shut up, you're a dumbass. I think it was Batman Vengeance was the first one. I'm trying to keep these in the order so I can just slap them back on my shelf. Anyways, what's up, Man Boy Cave? I got this one not too long ago. I don't remember where, though. Maybe when I was out with the boys in Wisconsin. I don't know. Blackstone, Magic and Steel. I have not played this because I do remember buying this after my Xbox stopped working. The protectors of all that is good are you. What? And you have to lend something to save the world. I can't read it. It's so dark in here. Feed the black. What is that? Find the black stones in nonstop 4-player action. Choose one of 5 character classes: warrior, archer, pirate, thief. Oh, I know why I bought this now. It's a dungeon crawler. I think it was it Rocket Sauce? It was somebody that we were with that was like, it's a dungeon crawler. That's why I bought it. I totally forgot. It's been a while. Like I said, I haven't played it because I have no Xbox to play it on right now. But, yep, I would definitely be playing that once my Xbox starts working again. And then I picked these two up at 2 random intervals, like years apart, actually. We got Blinks, the Time Sweeper, and the sequel, Blinks 2, Master of Time and Space. And these are 3D platformers trying to be like a sci-fi version of Sly Cooper. And they're all right. They're not great. These are actually like released by Microsoft. So these are like second-party games. But they're decent. I'll show you the backs. Not as the greatest, but I got them pretty cheap. Here we go. Here we freaking go. Blood Omen 2 or Legacy of Kain series. Blood Omen 2. I just go by Blood Omen 2. I love the Legacy of Kain games. I love them. I love them. I just did the freaking, what's her name from Titanic? That sings the song. Jeez, I can't remember anybody's names tonight. My brain is not working. Oh, God. What's her name from that sang the song from Titanic? Celine Dion. I love it. Vampire action game. Started off as like a vampire adventure pseudo role-playing game on the PlayStation 1, and then it kind of transitioned to the Raziel games, which are third-person action adventure horror games. And then we went back to Blood Omen with Kain again and turned it into sort of what the... I just brain farted again. Oh my God. The Raziel games, what they kind of are. They're 3D action adventures. And then we have the finale, which is not here. I think it's in another stack. I love this series. I think Kain is a pretty awesome character. I think Raziel is a rad-ass character. I wish we we're getting more games in this series. I know they kind of finished off the storyline with Kane and Raziel in Defiance, but doesn't mean you can't keep it going with other stories that take place in the world with these two characters and have the characters make like appearances in there. But I absolutely love this series, and I wish it was still going. Oh, that was the one that I forgot about. Like, I had the original Blood Omen, I had the 2 Raziel games, and then I had Defiance, and I totally forgot that there was a Blood Omen 2 out there. And then I randomly saw a picture of it. I was like, oh, how can I forget about that? But you know me and my vehicular combat games, and when there's a particularly cool like twist to it, of course I'm going to jump on it. And that's Blood Wake. This is another Microsoft-released game, so this is a second-party game. And this is basically Twisted Metal on the water. And you got some 4-player action there. It's okay. It's not great. It's not bad either. Sometimes the water physics kind of get in the way of having fun and the ways that Twisted Metal works with the turning and all that kind of stuff. Here, it's kind of like you drift a little bit more than you would if you were in a car because you're on water. But the weapons and the characters and all that are pretty cool. It's fun. It's just not Twisted Metal. But I just love the genre itself. Blood Wake. Yep. Here is my girl right here. I might get rid of these two because I have them on the PlayStation 4 now. So it's like, why do I still have these? Probably because I like the franchise too much. We's talking the Blood Rains. So I had the original Blood Rain back in the day. Well, this is part 2. Shazbot. The original Blood Rain, I had this on the GameCube. For some reason, like the magazines at the time, if I remember correctly, were saying that when it came to the PlayStation 2, the Xbox, and the GameCube version, the GameCube one was the one that ran the smoothest. And I was like, that on those teeny tiny little discs, I don't think so. But I'll take your word for it because I think it was like 2 or 3 magazines were saying something like that. So I bought it, and I instantly, like after you beat the first level of this game is pretty terrible. You're like in a swamp, and it's really hard to figure out where you're supposed to go because everything kind of is just murky and gross looking, and it's hard to tell what you can jump on, what you can climb on, whatever. But once you get past that, this game gets so freaking rad that I wanted to prolong playing it as long as I possibly could. So what I would do is every day when I'd come home from work, I would play 1 level and then I would stop and then I'd play something else. I wanted to prolong this as long as I could and didn't want to beat it in 3 or 4 days. I wanted to play it for as long as I possibly could. And I did just that. And I absolutely loved it. So you're playing as this girl, Rain, who has like these blades attached to like these wrist things on her arms. She's half a vampire, so she's basically like a female blade. And she's on a mission to stop Beliar, I think his name was, the main villain. But you got to cut through a whole bunch of Nazis to get there. So there's all this World War II era stuff that is fantastic. You can do bullet time. And I would always do it when I was feeding. Like, you can do it whenever you want. So what I would do is I'd go into bullet time if I was getting low on health, jump on somebody so I could start feeding on them. And while I was feeding on them, I would turn their body toward the people that were shooting at me so that the body would take all the bullets and I would be protected while I was getting more health from sucking on them. It was really cool the way the game worked. I thought it was really fun. I still think it's pretty cool. Yeah, now the graphics are a little bit dated and all that, and you know the gameplay is and all that, but the story was great. It has one of the greatest lines of dialogue in the history of games that surprised the hell out of me. You hitch a ride with a Jeep to get to this castle, and when you get out of the Jeep, you say, like, thanks for the ride, fucko, when you jump out. It's pretty awesome. What's up, TJ? Yeah, I'm thinking I might just drop those because who needs multiple copies? I don't like having multiple copies of the same game unless it's like a subset that I'm going for. Like with the Tron games, I don't have a problem with having them on the same game on multiple consoles. But do I really need Blood Rain 1 and 2 on the Xbox when I can play the superior version and get trophies for them while I'm playing? And then we have part 2, which I'm not that big a fan of when compared to the first one. The second one, I don't know, it felt overhyped, I guess. It's cool. There's more things to do. The basic combat and everything is the same, but it's like it doesn't feel like it has the same energy as the first one. Like the heart isn't there, like the story isn't all there. It's really, really hard compared to the first one. There's like a section that I got stuck in this. I never beat this one. Like I got stuck in this outside garden area or something like that. And I could not figure out where the hell to go. And I was always getting my ass beat by this one boss, and I just could not beat him no matter what I did. So I was just kind of like, this game. But, you know, playing it with better fidelity on the PlayStation 4 is probably going to help a little bit. So I'm definitely going to have to play that on the PS4. Boobs. Yep. Talking about boobs. Boobs. All the boobs. The PlayStation 2 and the GameCube and the Xbox all got this game. But the PlayStation 2 one is the one that's censored. The GameCube one, the people who censor things because it's supposed to be the kid-friendly console did not censor the boobs, from what I remember. But I wanted to get this on the Xbox because it's Xbox. But it's basically Dave Mirra freestyle biking or whatever that game was, with like a lot of females with tops missing. And a lot of times you have like the bar going across the nips, but I think there's a code or something you put in that gets rid of the bar. So it's just for shock value. It's not a great game by any means, but it's kind of like that guy game where it was just all about like, oh, look, there's nudity in it. Ooh, sell copies for boobs. Here is Breakdown. I think it was Musty Hobbit told me about this one. And it's like a 3D, it's a first-person shooter, but you have, like, you can get these, like, powers, and eventually you don't have to use a gun anymore. You just can punch people with your mega fist. And I have not played a whole lot of it. I played it when it first showed up to make sure it worked, and I haven't gone back to it, but I would really like to if I had a working Xbox. But I hear it's pretty fantastic. I should be checking each and every one of these to see if they have manuals. Okay, so I have a lot of games in this franchise for different consoles. The latest one I got was for the PlayStation 1, I think. But it's Broken Sword, the Sleeping Dragon. This is a point-and-click adventure game that's kind of like a PC game. I do believe all these are ports from the PC. But it's all about, like, secret societies and all this kind of stuff and a little bit of Indiana Jonesy nonsense. But I wanted to play these once I had all of them, and I don't have all of them yet. So I haven't really played a whole lot of this. For 360 years, an ancient manuscript remained undeciphered until now. Okay, National Treasure. How many of these do I have? Just these two? I think there's only 2 of these on this console, and there's a couple more on the 360/PS3. But we got the Brothers in Arms games. So back then, if you wanted to do like a military first-person shooter, you always end up going back to World War II. Why? I don't know. Just everybody did it. Call of Duty did it. Medal of Honor did it. Brothers in Arms did it. These, I think, were trying to be just a little bit more realistic. Because one of them, I think, is like they say it's based on a true story. Well, this one's got D-Day in it. But I remember somebody saying like this is, like one of these was based on a true story somewhere. Because like it's got the History Channel on this one. So I know this is the first one, and then Road to Hill 30 is the sequel. But they're just World War II shooters, first-person shooters. They're cool and all. But, you know, back then, all these were kind of interchangeable. Like, some of them just had better graphics than others. Others had better stories. So, yeah, sure. This one I hear is not the greatest, but I have not played this because I got this after my Xbox crapped out. Bruce Lee, Quest of the Dragon. It is a beat-em-up with Bruce Lee. I thought it was a first-person, I thought it was a one-on-one fighting game like Street Fighter or something like that. But no, it's kind of like dragging the Bruce Lee story that came out like on the the Super Nintendo and the Genesis and all that. Just now in 3D with better graphics and a more like the character looks more like Bruce Lee and has all of his wahs and stuff like that. I hear it's not great, but I don't care. I like Bruce Lee. I like Bruce Lee movies. I would like to get all the Bruce Lee games. I have this. I have Dragon the Bruce Lee story on the Super Nintendo, and I have the Bruce Lee game that was available on like the Commodore 64 and the Atari 8-bit computers, which is where I used to play it back in the day. I have that on the Master System. Okay, so when I was talking about my history with the Xbox at the beginning of the stream, I said that there was one killer app other than Halo that made me say I need to go out and buy an Xbox like right now. And we are here. We have arrived. Are you ready for what this game is? If you've seen the old stream from like 3 or 4 years ago, you'll know what it is. But you're going to laugh when you see what it is. It's a licensed game. Buffy the Vampire Slayer being an exclusive on the Xbox, and I was a huge fan of this show when this came out. I want to say, since I bought this in 2003 and the show went off the air in 2004, I do believe they were probably in their 5th or 6th season at that point. But this takes place between a couple of episodes during the 2nd season. Boofy. It's a beat 'em up. It's a 3D beat 'em up, and it is, for the time that this came out, this was a pretty fantastic beat 'em up. Now, when I play it, I still enjoy it. I find it a little slow, but essentially you're playing as Buffy the entire game. You're going after the Master from the TV show. I think, well, that was a first season episode then, if the Master is in this. And you do come across all of your friends from the show, and they're all voiced by the real actors from the show, except for Buffy. Buffy has a sound-alike, but she sounds just like Sarah Michelle Gellar. But you got Allison Hannigan and Nicholas Brendan and Anthony Stewart Head, and everybody else. And it's pretty fantastic. The mechanics are really fun. You get in the stakes, and you can turn things into stakes. Like you can pick up a rake or whatever, and if you start using it as a swinging weapon, it'll eventually break, and then you can use the handle as a stake. It's pretty cool. I like it a lot. I need to go back and play through it again. I've played through this probably 3 times, and I find it fun every time I do. It's a really, really good game that doesn't get enough credit because it's a licensed game, so people don't give a crap. Because then we have the sequel, which ended up being ported to every console out there, Buffy the Vampire Slayer Chaos Bleeds, and this is the one where you can play as all the characters from the show and then some, including the little what is it? The marionette puppet? Not marionette. The one that you have your hand up his butt. The puppet from one of the episodes with the talent show. And it's pretty cool. It's just not as good as Buffy the Vampire Slayer. This feels like, our Buffy the Vampire Slayer game was a surprise hit. Let's just use the same assets and just create another game real quick. Because this was out within like a year and a half, I think, of the first one. But it has a multiplayer mode. There's more, like I said, there's more characters you can choose from to play as, including Spike. What does it say? Exclusive Buffy bonus material, including cast interviews and much more. Yeah, authentic Buffy universe with involvement from creator Joss Whedon and writers Christopher Golden and Tom Snigoski or whatever. But you can play as Buffy, Willow, Xander, Spike, Faith, and Sid the Dummy. That was it. It's fun, but I think I still prefer the first one because it was just simpler and it wasn't as complicated with all these different characters. Here's a fun-ass series. You know, I had to have every one of these. We talking Burnout. Got all of them. The first one is essentially just a racing game that has like some, crash mechanics. Like, oh yeah, rub the people for some extra points kind of things. There's no crash mode in this. But it is still fun, for like the starting game, the one that started everything in the franchise. It's cool. It's just not my favorite. Like, I would definitely play any game in the franchise over this one because it doesn't have the crash mode. But then you've got Burnout 2 Point of Impact. This is the developer's cut. This is like the second version of this game where they have the crash mode in it, and that is so much fun. It's like a puzzle game with car crashes. Like, you have this car, here's the road that we're going to give you, here's the cars in traffic that we're going to give you too. You have to find a way to get so many points by crashing into all these cars and try to create chain reactions and stuff like that. It is so much fun to play it. Plus the racing is really fun on top of that. And there's always like, trying to crash the people off the road and bump them off the road and do rubbing and whatnot and get close calls by passing them real close. It's super fun. And then you have Burnout 3 Takedown, which is the one I think I started with back in the day. Because racing games, like, I would buy them, but I wouldn't like go out of my way to get them. But this is the one I started hearing from everyone that this game is absolutely fantastic. So I went out and rented it, and I was like, yup, I'm going to go out tomorrow and get me my own copy. And I played the crap out of this. You have no idea. The crash mode in this is absolutely fantastic. I spent hours and hours and hours, lost sleep over it because it's that good. What's up, Crypto? Yeah, I want to say I did have them for the PlayStation 2 back then, but the sequel, the one that came out after Part 3, now I have it for the 360, but I did originally have it for the original Xbox, and that was the one where I bought it on the Xbox. I just said that, didn't I? Do I need to go get another drink? I need more caffeine. Next up, I got this because of we are the lazy generation. We're the lazy generation. Radical Reggie and I think Metal Jesus did a video about Halloween. What was it? Hidden Gems or whatever. And I saw this game in that video, and I immediately went to eBay and picked up a copy of it, of this and another game that they talked about. I absolutely had to have it. It was a little expensive. It wasn't. I got it before the people that jacked the prices up because of Metal Jesus talking about this stuff. I got there before that happened. Like, I snagged it, like, I want to say half an hour before the prices started to change. But it was still pretty expensive already. And that is Call of Cthulhu. What is it? Oh, God, that is so small. Dark Corners of the Earth. This is a first-person horror game. You do get weapons, but you mostly use your fists and all that, and it's like a mystery, like stop the end of the world kind of thing. You have a sanity system, first person. I did not spend a whole lot of time playing this. One of my things was for Halloween I was going to pick this year, but didn't happen because Xbox not working. But I was super thrilled to get a copy of this because now that game is worth a mint. Next up, we have how many games in this series? This is the only one I have for this console. The rest of them I have for the 360. The original Call of Duty, Finest Hour. So this is a port of a PC game, and I got this for my Backlog Roulette for the Super Neighbor Brothers show, I want to say last summer. And I was like dead set because I love my first-person shooters, regardless of what generation they come from. I still play Medal of Honor. I still love the one on the PlayStation. So I was like, I'll have no problem playing through this. Oh my God, this game is kind of broken. There are so many stupid scenes where I was like, pick up this gun or pick up this like repeater gun and like mow down waves of characters that are just coming at you from all directions. You can never do it the way the game wants you to do it because the controls are kind of crappy, kind of cuckoo. I almost said. It's not fun. I was stuck. I was pretty close. I got stuck in this area where you're in a tank and you have to go into this one town and you had to find some papers or something. But the building you have to go into is so like the hallways are so narrow, and there's so many characters like enemies in the adjoining rooms in that corridor. It's impossible not to just get annihilated the moment you step out into the corridor. And I tried doing the whole step out, pop, 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 hide again, step out, pop, 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 hide again. Because this is one of those games before we had the regenerating health where you actually had to find health packs in order to, regain some. And it's not fun. This one is not that great. And I'm like, if this is what the PC game was like we got a franchise out of this because it's kind of broken. So I never actually beat it because I got so frustrated to the point where I said, the hell with it. So I have not played through it. I got pretty close, though. I got this one dirt cheap off of eBay. I got it because I live in Chicago, so I had to have Chicago Enforcer, and this is a first-person shooter Chicago gangster game. And it's not the greatest. It's by Chemco. They kind of make some lackluster games, but for what it is, it's kind of funny because it's so chintzy. It's all right, I guess. I'd rather play that Call of Duty game over it any day. And then this one, I don't remember. I think I got this in Wisconsin when I was with TJ and Captain Algebra and Rocket Sauce. It was either the one with Tiger Chainsaw or the one with TJ. I don't remember. But Combat Task Force 121. And it's another military first-person shooter. I bought it because I had never heard of it before. And I love my first-person shooter, so I had to get it, but I can't play because my Xbox, it don't work. But we'll see. Had to have this. This is still my original copy from back when I bought this in 2003 or 4 or whatever. I remember my friend Justin and I, on our lunch break at work, we would always go to this one electronics boutique by the building and hang around. We knew the guy that ran the store. He was really cool and used to give us discounts and free shit sometimes. But I remember buying this on my lunch break that day, and that is Conquer Live and Reloaded. It's the remake of Conker's Bad Fur Day on the Nintendo 64, just with better graphics because Rare got bought by Microsoft back then at this point in time. So they were trying to get as many Rare licenses as they possibly could up and going on the Xbox. It took a while for them to get Perfect Dark going. They didn't get that until the 360. But I remember I was really excited about this one. The only thing is, it's been censored. Nintendo's game was uncensored. This one is censored. Why? I don't know. And they even have like this warning on here that this game isn't for anyone under the age of 17. BS. They censored it crap out of it. But there's a few more modes other than the regular story mode. There's a couple of multiplayer modes and all that where you're doing military type stuff. It's okay. I'd rather just play the Nintendo 64 game, and it pains me to say that. But to get the uncensored version, I got to get the N64 one, and I'm not paying up my butt for it. Luckily with Seth, yeah, I think I got that one in Wisconsin because I don't recall buying it out here. Here's one that I bought in Wisconsin too. I don't remember. I think this was when we were with Seth. I was looking for a copy of this, but every time I would find one, it was like super sun bleached, or it looked like somebody stuck it up their butt, like it was just gross, or it didn't have the manual. And then we went to this was with Seth. We went to it wasn't Press Start. It was that other one, the one that it's like really long. It wasn't Freak Toys. Jesus, I don't remember the name of it. But anyway, I found a copy of Constantine because licensed games. Still haven't played it because Xbox wasn't working at that point in time. But it's a third-person action horror game. We were playing through the events of the movie and all that, and I wish I could tell you more about it because I love the movie that this is based on, so I had to have the game. And I've heard from multiple people, but even Jason, Corpse Flood, told me that he played through this and he thought it was pretty fun. So I was like, I kind of need to get it. You can unlock the uncensored stuff after beating it once. I don't want to play through it twice, though. That's kind of BS. Should just have a code. So this was a spin-off of Half-Life, if I remember correctly. And like this game is still going online on the PC. Like you can still join in on multiplayer games of Counter-Strike. Counter-Strike, what is it? No, Team Fortress is the one I'm thinking of that's on the orange box. Does it have a counter? No, that's Portal. Yeah, this is a first-person shooter, but it's all about multiplayer, online multiplayer. I don't know if this has couch co-op. Well, it says one player. I don't know if this has a story mode, though, because I've never actually played it. The #1 online PC action game in the world now on Xbox. But, like, Counter-Strike still has an online community going. One of my friends that I'm playing D&D with plays it on the regular still, too, if I remember right. So, picked this up dirt cheap when I first got back into collecting. I think I found this in Wisconsin, too, when I was hanging out with you guys. It was either with Seth or with TJ. But Crazy Taxi 3 High Roller, I have all of them now, including, I think, the PSP game. But it's just more of the same, Crazy Taxi, but now you're playing in Vegas. Ooh, awesome. If you play Crazy Taxi, you know what it's all about. So this one is weird. We got part one. Part one of this was an Xbox exclusive. Part two of this is a PS2 exclusive. Yeah. We're talking Crimson Sea. This is an RPG, sci-fi RPG. And I picked this up at my old retro game store, People Play Games. And I wanted to wait until I can get the second one. Well, no, actually, I think I got the second one first. I found it there. Then I found this one like about a year later at the same store. I still haven't gone and played it yet, though, because RPG. So I need to play through these. It looks really cool, though. I love a good sci-fi RPG. I got a Western RPG I want to play, too. So that I recall picking up. Yeah, I think of that. I think I got that one at Press Start. Or, oh God, what's the name of that one? The one that we went back to twice because I wanted to pick something up for church. Is that Press Start? I can't remember. Here is one that actually works on my Xbox One, and I was trying to play through it because I got this on my Backlog Roulette on the Super Enabler Brothers podcast, and it's really fun. It just gets really hard the further you get. Obviously, it's a video game, but to the point where I was kind of like, I don't know if I want to play this anymore. But that's Crimson Skies: High Road to Revenge. It's an aerial combat simulator, and not. It's like an open world game when you're in a plane. Like you go to these different like hub areas, and there's like a bunch of missions you need to do in that area. Then you move on to the next one, kind of thing. But it's really fun. It's based on an old tabletop RPG that I hear is pretty awesome. I got maybe like 5 or 6 hours into it, and then I got like stuck, and I was like, I don't think I want to play this anymore. So I just gave up on it. But it was really fun until it got to the point to where it just got too difficult. This one I played through to completion. It is pretty fantastic. Another first-person shooter. Come on, you guys, you know this. I bought this one on a whim, and it's called Dark Watch. It's a first-person shooter in the Wild West, and you're a vampire, and you are taking out zombies and other vampires and stuff. It is pretty fantastic as a horror Western-themed first-person shooter. It is pretty amazing. I love the weapons, and you get some that do like blessed bullets and blessed shotgun shells and stuff like that. It's pretty fantastic. I absolutely love it. I played this through to completion and talked to multiple friends and got them to buy copies of it. It's amazing. And I even put this on my list. I think it was in the Xbox. It was either the Xbox or the PlayStation 2 Diamonds in the Rough video that I thought it was pretty fantastic. I mean, I should play through it again, but can't. And I need to go and get a drink. My throat is dry as a bone. I will be back in a few minutes. Stand by. I am back. Yay. I can sense you all rejoicing. Makes me worry about that Mountain Dew that I was drinking, that Summer Blast one or whatever, Summer Freeze. Is it going to make my bung blue? Anyway, so when I was talking about BMX Triple X, I think basically it's just this game with boobs. And that's Dave Mirra Freestyle BMX 2. And you can see where I got this from. I got it at a Goodwill for 5 smackaroos. And it's all right. It's just a rip-off of Tony Hawk's Pro Skater with a bike. I'm sure Peter loves it. What's the licensed soundtrack on this one like? Feel the vibe with tracks from Rage Against the Machine, Godsmack, Sum 41, and others to help you flow. That is a very early 2000s set list. Showa. I picked this one up off of eBay because I thought it sounded kind of interesting, and because it's a first-person shooter. I need to get this label off of here because it's covering up the pictures. No! God damn it. Anyway, it's called Dead Man's Hand. I knew nothing about this game before I picked it up. I remember I just happened to be putzing around on eBay at work when I was bored, saw it, was like, what is that? Is that... Oh, no, I'm sorry. I remember where I got this. I got this at this new store my friend took me to. That's why there's this shitty label on it. That's what set me off, is this shitty label. My friend took me to this new store in the suburbs, and I saw this on the shelf, and he asked me about it and was like, is that what I think it is? And I said, yes. It's like a poker playing simulation, like a cowboy poker playing simulation, and I was mistaking it with another game. And I grabbed it, and I was like, ain't no one going to buy this. And I look at the back, I'm like, oh, it's a first-person shooter. What game am I thinking of? I couldn't remember. But there is like a Wild West like card game thing out there for one of the consoles of this generation that I'm mistaking it with. But it actually doesn't look too bad, but you never know. Haven't played it because I got this when my Xbox wasn't working. So there's that. You are El Tejon, a gunfighter betrayed by your own gang and left for dead. But in the Old West, a dead man still has a hand to play. Hunt down your failed assassins to even the score. Justice shall be yours. Pursue double-crossing desperados on foot or horseback and on top of moving trains. Exact your vengeance with authentic pistols, rifles, shotguns, and even Gatling guns and dynamite. Try your hand at multiplayer, deathmatch, bounty, and posse via System Link or Xbox Live. Showa. But yeah, that's what made me remember where I got this from, was this label on the back. Wish they had the Tony Hawk engine for the Dave Mirra games. Yeah. Okay, so I need to pull this down because this is special. Okay, so I love this fighting game franchise, even though it kind of went off in a weird direction for a little bit. Still kind of did. But it turns out the best versions of the first two games are on this console, and it came in a double pack, which I snapped up. And we're talking Dead or Alive 1 and 2 Ultimate, and it came in this cardboard outer box originally that opens up to show you the two games in it. There's some artwork of the games on the back. The first game is the one that I bought originally on the PlayStation. That just happened. Excuse me. Came out on the PlayStation 1, and I got into a fight with a GameStop employee over it. I got the gas now. Shit. And the hiccups and the burpees. Ooh, gross. That's not a... Ew, Chipotle and Gatorade? Anyway, it's a good game. This version is way better. Even better than the one that's on the Saturn that I have. Graphics have been improved. Play control has been improved. Everything has been improved. And then part 2 is fantastic on the Dreamcast. I absolutely love it. But just happens to be just a little bit better on this one, especially because the graphics are a little bit better high def, or in a little bit better definition. Absolutely love this franchise. I don't know. Have they made a new one in this series recently? I don't remember the last one that came out. But yeah, that was a combo I bought back in the day. Picked it up at that EB Games that I was always talking about, or Electronics Boutique. I think it was. It wasn't on EB Games yet. But absolutely love it. And then the franchise decided to take like a little detour. And when it's, because the franchise was known for the female characters having large endowments that defied gravity. So since that was the thing they were the most known for, outside of the fighting being really, really good, well, excuse you, they decided to take advantage of the boob aspect of it, and they made Dead or Alive Extreme Beach Volleyball, and you can see where I picked this one up. And the cover is all about them boobs. So, no fighting in this. It's a bunch of little mini games and like a shopping simulator thing where all the female characters go to this island that's run by, I think it was Zach from the games. And you play volleyball, you play little mini games around the pool, you go to bed at night and whatnot, but you can go to the store and send each other all the other girl characters gifts, and you'll receive gifts back, and it's like more clothing that you can wear. Some is super skimpy, some isn't. It's just really strange that they decided to, instead of making like another game in the franchise, to do this. Like, it was weird to me. But it was also strangely fun. The volleyball was actually not bad. It was actually pretty cool. And some of the mini games, like the one where you're hopping on the little balloons across the pool, is really stupid. But it's not bad. It's not terrible. It's not what I wanted in another Dead or Alive game, but I don't have a problem playing it. And plus, boobs. You can see all the sexiness going on in this thing. But it's just weird that the volleyball is actually not bad. It's really, really fun. They really seem to have spent a lot of time developing it and made sure that, it worked. And it does. So, okay. Give me that Gatorade. Ooh. There was a modes version. I have one for the PS4, but I had to get all the way from PlayAsia. I think it was the first thing I ever bought from PlayAsia. So we got this franchise that started off, I do believe. I want to say the first one wasn't exclusive on the Xbox, but then the sequel got ported everywhere else. But we're talking Dead to Rights, because I don't remember seeing Dead to Rights, the first one, on the PlayStation 2 or anything like that. I remember the second one. But these are third-person action games. There's a little bit of a cover mechanic, but the big thing about it is you have a dog, and you can sick the dog on some of the bad guys when they've got you like cornered or whatever. And if you need the dog to go off and do something specific, like, hey, go and get me those keys over there, he'll crawl over and grab you some shit. And the second one is just more of the same, but not as fun. This one I remember getting terrible reviews, but the first one got decent reviews if I remember correctly. But you can see what the games look like. They're all right. They're not the best thing ever. Heck, nude version of the game. Oh. I remember getting this one, and I hear it is absolutely horrible. It's called Death Row Underground Team Combat. And it's a fighting game, which is why I bought it. But it is absolutely horrible from what I'm told. And I got this after my PlayStation crapped out. It says Death Row pits teams in a no limits, no honor, total aggression arena sport where only the hardest fists, the meanest moves, and the deadliest throws will get you victory. This could get ugly fast. Can you take the punishment? Face off in mortal competition against 150 arena warriors and 18 cutthroat teams. Go out and dominate with 140 brutal fighting and scoring moves. Graphic superiority, push Xbox power to the limit. I highly doubt that. And featuring Dolby Digital 5.1 surround sound. Sure. I picked it up, and then I remember everybody seeing the picture of my games pickup from that week and going like, why did you buy that? I was like, it was cheap, and it's an Xbox exclusive, so sure, why not? And then we've got this beauty. This is the second game in the series. I got the first one, I think, on the PlayStation 1. But Def Jam, Fight for New York. I'm not a wrestling fan, nor am I a rap fan. But somehow you mix those two things together, and it's magical. So I remember reading the reviews of the first Def Jam game, or Vendetta, and I was like, really? Like, Def Jam Records artists in a wrestling game? Why? But I rented it because I was curious, and I was beyond surprised at how much fun it was. Like, it was beyond fun, and I beat the shit out of that game. So the moment the second one came out, you bet your ass I ran out and picked up a copy, and it is just as good, if not better. More rappers in this one compared to the first one. And I cannot read... Well, can I read them? It's like so freaking small, the type. Featuring more than 40 hip-hop superstars. Bone Crusher, Bubba Sparks, Busta Rhymes, Capone, Carmen Electra. Ain't no rapper, Carmen Electra. What is that, Comp? Yeah, Comp. Crazy Legs, Danny Trejo. Ain't no rapper. David Banner, the Hulk. DJ Enough, DJ Felly Fell, Elephant Man, Eric Sermon, Famlay, Fat Joe, Flava Flav, Freeway, Ghostface Killer, and the Method Man. Havoc, Henry Rollins, ain't no rapper, Ice-T, Joe Budden, Kimora Lee, Lil Flip, Lil Kim, Ludacris, Mac 10, Memphis, Bleak, Method Man, Nore, Omar Epps, he's an actor, Prodigy, Redman, Scarface, Sean Paul, Shauna, Slick Rick, Snoop Dogg, Sticky Fingers, Warren G, WC, and Exhibit. Yeah, I'm not as a rap fan, like I said, but like you put Snoop Dogg in something, and I'll pretty much buy it because I think Snoop Dogg is awesome just as a person. So I don't care about the rapping or the songs, but Snoop Dogg just seems rad as hell. So you throw him in anything, and I'll probably I'll take a look. So yeah, this one is amazing. I absolutely loved it. Played both of them to completion back in the day. Love it, love it, love it. Oh, okay. And then we've got Destroy All Humans and Destroy All Humans 2. These are third-person, like, comedic action games where you're playing as these aliens that are just destroying people all over the place. Plays an alien clone sent to Earth to infiltrate and destroy the human race. Use your Zap-O-Matic, Disintegrator Ray, and more. Fly your UFO and unleash massive destruction. Manipulate Earthlings with your mind control abilities. So, I remember when these came out, and I think I bought the first one, and I played it for like a day, and I was like, okay, cool. And then I got distracted like I normally do by something else. And I never went back to it. But I always wanted to finish it because I thought it was kind of cool. And then it just never happened. Now that they came out on the PlayStation 4, they got re-released through, what was it, Limited Run or whatever. And I was like, of all the games, these? Or whatever. So, okay. So I ended up going out and picking these up because I didn't really care about having them on the PS4 and that. So I've never played the second one, but I have played the first one, and I remember it being okay. But yeah, why these got remastered, I don't know. But they did. They are out there. This one I need to play. I was going to put this on my RPG list this year, but how many do I have that I want to play through, and I've not played through any yet? Or I've not finished any yet? And that is Deus Ex Invisible War. I love Cyberpunk. Why have I not played this? I have not played any of the games in this franchise. I have most of them, or all of them, I think. Why have I not played these? Because I suck. But it's a first-person action, stealth, thriller, whatever. It's a lot of things. I had the first Deus Ex as like a budget title on my PC back in like the early 2000s. And I never got around to playing it. And then the sequel came out, and then more sequels started coming out. And I was just like, come on. Can I need to play all these. They look awesome. Oh, Cyberpunk stuff. This one I hear is terrible because why would they do this? There's none. The title, what's in the title is not on the cover at all. So you're missing the point, bruh. Dino Crisis 3. Like the first two games were like pretty awesome Resident Evil style games. Pretty much use the same engine. But you're running away from dinosaurs instead of zombies. Well, this one you're like on a spaceship or station or whatever, and I guess dinosaurs show up every once in a while, but they're not like real dinosaurs. They're like monster cloney dinosaurs or something. I hear it's absolutely terrible. Experience fast and action-intense reflex battles. Change spaceship layout to achieve objectives. Whatever. What does that have to do with dinosaurs? Yeah. But I bought it because I wanted to have all the games in the franchise. You can tell I'm kind of running out of steam here, guys. I'm getting tired as hell. Next up, we have these two. We got the Doom 3. So I have the limited collector's edition of the first game, which is a steelbook. Steelbook slut. Hell yeah, this is still my original copy from back in the day that I bought from that electronics boutique I was talking about. And it's not my favorite. Like Doom 3 is when they decided to like upgrade the whole game. Like instead of it being like the pixel graphics, now it's all polygons and it's got a story and all that. It's not just run around and shoot everything and then, hope for the best. No, this one's actually trying to tell a story, and it's okay. It's not the greatest. Not that I'm against story modes or anything like that. It's just like this one feels like they were trying too hard. I guess that's the only way I can put it. It was cool and all that. It's just I didn't think it was as great as it could have been. But apparently id thought it was the most amazing thing ever because they gave it like DLC for the PC and we got it in physical form for the Xbox because we can't do that kind of stuff back in the day. But it's just more of the same, just more games, a couple more weapons or whatever. But I think it's another like 10 hours of a campaign. Sure. But you have a stream on Saturday. What are you talking about? Oh, yeah, the show. It's not a stream, it's just a show. We're recording it, we're not streaming it. This is also one of the worst games on this console, but I bought it because I wanted to see how bad it was. The only problem was I bought it when my Xbox wasn't working. I love that game. I need to play them still, like at least all the way through. Drake of the 99 Dragons. I don't know if this is based on a cartoon or a comic book or anything, but I think I saw this on a Metal Jesus video, and they're like, "This game sucks." And it's like a third-person run-and-gun kind of thing, and I hear that it's just broken beyond belief. I don't care. Like I said, I love a good B movie. I love a good B video game. So we'll see how bad it is when I can actually play it. But I got that at Half Price Books. I remember that for like $10 maybe. You just bought the demo discs? Did you get the PS4 versions too, bro? So here's a franchise that started on the PS1 and has carried over here. This is one of the games that I picked up at that warehouse sale from Half Price Books for $1. And I knew nothing about it. Actually, I was surprised to find it. I didn't know that this game or this franchise was still going in this generation. So Driver, Parallel Lines. It's just more racing stuff, more crashes. I don't know anything about it because I have not played it. 80 drivable vehicles, old school and modern cars with full customization, realistic physics and destructible environments, Hollywood-style car chases, open missions with no loading times. But does it have the director's mode? Probably not. I think they got rid of that after the first one. That was the reason I liked the first one as much as I did. That director's mode was the shit. But it looks like they got rid of that. Plan 9 from Outer Space. The one on the PC? Next up, we have Mosley from, it was Drunken Master Studios. Now he's Retro Cult Home Video. In one of my, bad license games or movies that had bad license games based on them or whatever it was. Collab video that I did, he talked about the Plan 9 from Outer Space game being so bad. This I played the crap out of with friends. Like, it is amazing. I love my dungeon crawlers. Well, dungeon crawl the hell out of this one. That's Dungeons & Dragons Heroes. When I picked this one up, because when I found out that it was like Baldur's Gate, I was like, oh yeah, it's going down. And I would bring this over to all my different friends' houses that had Xboxes, and we'd play the crap out of it. Or they'd come over to my place, and we'd all play it. Holy shit. This is fantastic. Don't get me wrong, the Baldur's Gate games are fantastic. I love them. But this, damn. Playing this 4-player, I don't know if we actually ever did play 4-player. It was most of the time just 3-player, because it was me and 2 other friends. We never actually went full-on 4. But as a dungeon crawlers go, this one is kind of top-notch. I absolutely love it. And it's one of those things where like I always wanted to play straight-up D&D, but never really did. But I was playing all the things that were related to it, like this and the Forgotten Worlds and all that kind of stuff, types of games that were out there. But that is a fantastic, fantastic dungeon crawler. 300 episodes. Well, I've done technically way more than 300 if you count all the top 3 Tuesdays and the shorts and everything. But when it comes to like full-length episodes that are like more than 10 minutes long, yeah, I've done 300 of those. This is the 300th. But yeah, we'll talk about it after the games. So next up is Morrowind, Elder Scrolls 3, the Game of the Year edition. This game overwhelmed me. I don't think the graphics were that great. I'm sure it was better on the PC, but on the Xbox, like everything seemed kind of blurry to me. I don't know if it could have just been me. But I started playing this when it first came out, when the original version, before this Game of the Year version came out. And I was like, oh, this is kind of cool. It's interesting, but I couldn't really get into it. Don't ask me why. Maybe it was ahead of its time. I wasn't ready for this kind of game where you can just go around and do whatever the hell you want. And I had, at the same time, I'm sitting there going like, I don't know about this. And then I'm hearing friends from work that have played through it 3 different times, and they've done 3 different like types of characters. Like one guy did it straight as an elf or whatever, and then went back and played through it as a werewolf. It's just like, what? Like, you can do all these things? I just never got all that far into it, so I really can't comment. But this has the Blood Moon and the Tribunal add-ons built into it, so there's that. And it's completely complete. So eventually I'll try it out. I don't know. Just for some reason, just didn't click with me when it first was released. Most of my Xbox gaming was Jet Set Radio Future, Halo, and Burnout 3. I already talked about Burnout 3. Those games, like, the hours I spent playing Burnout 3, you have no clue, dude. No clue. The first game where you got so lost and just quit playing. I have quit, except for 5, except for Skyrim, I have quit the 3rd and the 4th one completely. Like, I was playing the 3rd one, and what was it? I was going up a mountain, and a bear just kept annihilating me, and I was like, the hell with this. The 4th one I bought on the Xbox 360, and I did the whole thing with Patrick Stewart in the dungeon where he's that guy. He's like, oh, yeah, go up to the surface and do whatever. I go up there. I found a place to sleep, and while I was sleeping, a wizard attacked me and blew me up. And I was like, I can't even play this damn game. Like, I'm trying to sleep and I'm getting killed. I'm like, this is BS. So I stopped playing it then too. What's up, Asilo? Maytal was writing papers my freshman year of college. Oblivion took me 13 years to finish. No joke. We have similar hours in Burnout 3. I play 100% of the game, then reset my save and try it again. I never really did that. I would just constantly go back to the crash mode and just try to get better scores. This next one I talked about in my Xbox Diamonds in the Rough. I knew nothing about this game. I found it at that disc replay place I keep talking about. Because, like I said, I've said this I don't know how many times. I would just go there after work to see what was up. And I'd go there multiple times in 1 week and find completely different stuff there. But most of the time it was stuff that I never heard about or knew nothing about. And I would always be super curious. And because everything there was between like $2 and $7 mostly, I would just buy whatever interested me. And if it looked cool, I'd buy it. And this was one of them. I knew nothing about it, but it's called Enclave. And it's a third-person adventure-y light RPG, and it is super cool. I mean, like, it's a little clunky. I mean, it's a kind of an early Xbox game, but I enjoyed the hell out of the parts that I played of it, and it's pretty cool. Like, there's some puzzle, like environmental platform puzzling kind of things. It's kind of like if you're going to play, like, I don't know, Ocarina of Time, but you had the ability to jump and not have to run up to an edge and let it do it for you kind of stuff. It's very, very fun. The graphics aren't the greatest. The sound ain't the greatest. The controls ain't the greatest, but it's like charming, and I enjoyed my time with it, which is why I put it in the video. So if you're into that kind of thing, I highly recommend Enclave. But this is the one that most people know, and this is the one where I realized that Microsoft was ahead of the curve with that whole, like, who knew what the hell 1080i was back in 2003? I'm talking Enter the Matrix. Some people love this game. Some people hate this game. I love it. Yeah, the controls kind of stank, but I love the Matrix. And any extra information on the lore that I can get anywhere, comic books, the Animatrix, any of that kind of stuff, I welcome it. Did I really want to play as Jada Pinkett Smith in a video game? No, not really. I was really hoping I could play as Neo or Trinity or Morpheus or any of them. But Jada Pinkett, does she slap Neo, or does she get Will Smith to show up in the game and slap Neo? Yeah, it is a little bit clunky, but I still found it fun, and I beat this game so fast. Like, I pre-ordered it. I had to go to a FedEx warehouse, like a distribution center, because they refused to deliver it to me for some reason. They're like, no, you're going to have to come to our little warehouse thing and pick it up. I ran out there and picked it up, came home, played it all night, all night the next day, and I beat it. I loved it. I loved all the cutscenes and the fact that it's like a side story to the second movie to Reloaded that leads right into Revolutions. And it's kind of like the things you don't see happening with the Jada Pinkett's character and her little, I can't remember what's his name, Ghost, her little co-pilot. It was just really fun. And then you come across Neo and Trinity and Morpheus throughout the game because they filmed scenes for this while they were filming Reloaded. So actually the Wachowskis directed all of the live action footage in this and directed the game as well. I had a blast playing it. Like I said, it is a little bit kind of crappy in the control area, but it didn't really bother me because I was still able to do the things I needed to do. But I really enjoyed this game a lot. Way better than the other Matrix game. Congrats on the 500 subs, dude. Thanks for stopping by. How many of these do I have? I think I only have the one. Okay, yeah. I need to get the other games in this franchise. The other game, because I have the first one on the Dreamcast and then this, and there's one more. But Evil Dead, Fistful of Boomstick. So the original Evil Dead game, is it Hail to the King? I think that one's called. Yeah, Hail to the King. It's like a Resident Evil clone. This one is a little more open worldy, like it's third person, but you have the ability to go anywhere you want, like Silent Hill, I guess. And it's more of a beat 'em up where it's all about slashing people with that chainsaw. You got waves of deadites coming at you and beat them all up. It's fun. It's still a little one note, but it's Evil Dead, and you've got Bruce Campbell doing all of these awesome little one-liners while you're playing, which is fantastic. And then there's one more after this called Regeneration that I need to buy. But love me some Evil Dead, so I had to have that. You notice how many licensed games I own? Has anyone ever actually noticed? You might think I'm obsessed. And then we've got one of the most contentious games from this console. And same thing with Aliens, Colonial Marines, and a couple of other, like Cyberpunk 2077. I don't get caught up in the hype for stuff. I do not. I don't care. If I see a commercial for a game that looks cool, all right, that's on my radar. I'll wait until the game comes out. I don't usually follow the development of any games, so I never saw any of that stuff that everyone says they were being lied to about Aliens, Colonial Marines, or this, or Cyberpunk 2077, any of that kind of stuff. I was interested in the game. I'll buy it when I buy it. But this was the one that the dude that ran the company just kept lying over and over again about the things you can do in this game, and you couldn't do any of them. It was just, he could not stop running his mouth. Kim Justice, subscribe to Kim Justice's YouTube channel. She talks about this guy at length in a couple of videos, and you see how much of an idiot this guy is. We're talking about Peter Molyneux and Fable. So I remember he was talking about, oh yeah, in the beginning of the game, you can plant an acorn. And then over the course of the game, since it takes place over multiple generations, you get to watch that acorn turn into a tree. And by the time the game is over, it's this huge-ass, thick-ass trunk tree. And you've watched it grow. You've watched it evolve. No, you don't do any of that in here. None of it. None. It is like a action-adventure light RPG style game. Chicken chaser! And it's fine. It's good for what it is, but all the promises that Peter Molyneux, what's the name of his company, Lionhead Studios, made, like 90% of it was a crock. Like he was just talking out of his butt, and then he'd go like, okay, guys, he'd say it in an interview, we're going to do this acorn thing, and it's going to be amazing. And then he'd go back to the programmers and be like, okay, I told everyone about this acorn thing. Now you guys got to implement it into the game. They couldn't figure out how to do it. So it just never happens. And I guess he was doing that over and over again with not just this game, but other games that they were developing too. So guy just needed to freaking sew his mouth shut. But the thing was, I heard about the acorn thing, and I was like, that's cool. And then I never paid attention to it again until it came out. But then I started hearing everybody complaining about that the game wasn't living up to all the hype, and I was like, whatever. I'll play it when I play it. Just, I don't care. But for what it is, it's not bad. It's just, it could have been a hell of a lot better. It wasn't the console selling game that they were hoping it was going to be, but it's not terrible. Next up we have, this still makes me laugh. And is this thing broken? No, it is not. It just got loose somehow. Okay. I never really put two and two together with this. I just thought that this was called Brotherhood of Steel. I did not realize this was part of the Fallout franchise because honestly, I did not know what Fallout was back when this came out because I was not a PC gamer. Did I? You're going to have to wait until I get there, son. So yeah, we got Fallout, Brotherhood of Steel. Like I said, I knew nothing about Fallout. I had never heard of the PC games because I never played PC games. So I just heard post-apocalyptic dungeon crawler. I'll take it. Give it to me. Mad Max dungeon crawler, I want it. I want it now. So I ran out and bought it back then, regardless of the fact that it got pretty bad reviews, if I remember right. And I didn't care. It's pretty awesome. I liked it. I now that I know what Fallout is, and I've actually played some Fallout, yeah, sure. Now I'd be like, all right, fine. I want to get it to complete the console set or whatever. But back then, I didn't know what the hell it was. And then we got these. We got the Far Cry Instincts. This is, I guess, the first Far Cry game before it became what it is now, where it's like it's a first-person shooter, but like you eventually get like powers, like animal powers or something. You're Jack Carver. This ain't your lucky day. You're trapped on a tropical island, hunted by ruthless mercenaries. Want to survive? You better adapt. You better evolve, and you better fight. And it's just the weirdest freaking thing because then you got the add-on, which was DLC for, I guess, the PC game. You got Instincts Evolution. And this is like where they really try to bring that shit home. Jack Carver thought he'd found paradise, but when a gorgeous woman draws him on a dangerous heist, their sun-drenched days take a chilling turn. Hunted for murder he didn't commit, Jack must draw on his most savage instincts to make his predators his prey. As first-person shooters, they're not bad, but I don't know what the hell they were thinking with all the crazy animal-y shenanigan things, like turning into Manimal or whatever the hell it is. And then they made the movie. Don't watch the movie, guys. It is one of the worst things ever. Love old DLC where it was a whole extra disc. I wish they still did that shit. I've just gotten back into buying games in this franchise. I think the only one I need is the second game now. And I've got them all. But we've got Fatal Frame, the OG. This originally, I think, came out on the PS2, but eventually got a port to the Xbox. But it's got based on a true story. Yeah, I'm sure. There was somebody out there capturing ghosts with the camera. It's basically the story of every ghost hunter out there, right? But it's a third-person survival horror game where you use your camera to stun the ghosts that are coming after you. Like you take their picture and you freeze them and then you can get past them or whatever. It's cool. I just need to have all of them so I can play through them in a row. But yeah, I'm glad to have that. I just need, like I said, part 2 because I have part 3 on the PlayStation 2. License game because it's me. Fight Club. Another game that got like absolutely demolished in the ratings back in the day when it first came out because so that movie came out in 99. And this game came out in, why did they put this stuff so small? 2004? I think 2004. Way too late for a licensed game, but I figured they thought that Fight Club had staying power, so hey, we'll release it, 5 years later. No, nobody bought this crap. But it's a one-on-one fighting game. You pick a bunch of different characters from the movie and some new ones and whatnot, and you beat the crap out of each other, and the mechanics are not good. It is not fun. But I wanted to have it because I love Fight Club, the book and the movie. So, sure. You are not your khaki pants. Nope, I am not Jack's. What was it? Jack's Sorrow or whatever the hell it was. I cannot remember. So talking about the D&D stuff with Dungeons and Dragons Heroes and all that, then we've got the other, spin-off-y thing of Dungeons and Dragons, and that's Forgotten Realms. So we've got all these Forgotten Realms games. So we've got Dark Alliance, which is dungeon crawl-tastic. Absolutely love it. Well, that's Baldur's Gate Dark Alliance. Sorry. Then Baldur's Gate Dark Alliance 2, even better dungeon crawl goodness. And then we've got Baldur's Gate. I'm mixing all these up. Goddamn. Forgotten Realms Demon Stone, which is another dungeon crawler. Absolutely love dungeon crawlers. Back in the day, I never played Demon Stone. I never actually had it, but I did buy this at that exchange down the street for like $3. But I had both of these back in the day, and I absolutely loved them. This is the game that got me into dungeon crawlers right here. I remember a couple of friends talking about it back in the day. A guy at work was even talking about it, and I was like, okay, I'll check it out, and I rented it, and I was like, holy crap. Now this is fun. So I went out and bought a copy, played the crap out of it, went out and got part 2 when it came out, loved it even more. I think this one is even better, but never actually played Demon Stone. This one went completely off my radar. It was never on my radar. How about that? Knew nothing about it until I got back into collecting in 2013. But when it came to like that dude I was talking about from the Burlesque show, the photographer that was giving me like the games that he had that he just kind of had in his closet or whatever, and he was like, well, Chris collects games now. These are just taking up space in my apartment. And he just handed over this big box of games. It was another guy at the bar where we were doing the Burlesque show. What was his name? Henricks? I don't remember what his first name was. Let me take a gander real quick. Jimmy. Jimmy. Was it Jimmy? Jimi Hendrickson. It wasn't Jimi Hendrix. It was Jimi Hendrickson. He was one of the co-owners of the bar. It was the Lincoln Tap Room. And he was one of the bartenders. He was the nicest guy. Like when I first started doing the soundboard at the bar for the Burlesque show, he would come up and never talked to him before in my life and came up and started talking to me like he was my best damn friend and he was going to help me out with all this stuff. And he just, when he found out that I was a gamer, because one time I came to the show early and I brought my DS, my 3DS with me, and I was playing that while I was waiting for the show to start. And he like saw that I was a gamer and he started talking to me about like how he loved RPGs, and he brought like one of those CD wallet things, like a big CD wallet thing, and had all of his RPGs for the PlayStation 1 in there. And I was looking at him like, dude, you do not understand how much money these games go for nowadays. I'm like, you could retire. And he was like, no, I'm never getting rid of my games. And he came up to me one day, like after he found out that the photographer gave me that box of games. He goes, oh, here's some games that I have in my collection I'm never going to play again. And he gave me the 2 Dark Alliance games. And I was like, dude, these are kind of expensive right now. Are you sure you don't want to just sell them on eBay or something? He's like, no. I know you're going to enjoy them more than I am. He's like, just take them. So I was like, all right, fine. And then I got Demon Stone at the exchange, like I said, for like $3. So absolutely love that stuff. Dungeon crawlers with friends are the best. That's why the dungeons, I mean, as much as I love the Baldur's Gate games or the Dark Alliance games, like Dungeons and Dragons Heroes will probably always get the edge from me because that's the one that I played with friends all the time, and I absolutely loved it. It was like that or Gauntlet. Dark... What was that one called? I can never remember the subtitle for the second Gauntlet reboot. There was Gauntlet Legends and then Gauntlet Dark Legacy, I think it was. That was one. But like those get the edge because I have the best memories of playing that with my friends. So that is it tonight. This is one of the longer streams I've done lately. Almost 2 hours of talking about Xbox games. But like I said, Dark Legacy, yep. Does that game have network play or online? Which one are you talking about? The Dungeons and Dragons one? One to 4 players, HDTV, in-game, Dolby Digital. No, this one did not have internet. I probably wouldn't have used it anyway back in the day. The only thing I ever used the Xbox Live for on the original Xbox was, I remember I downloaded some DLC for, what was it, Crimson, blah, 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 blah. The airplane game. Crimson Skies. I downloaded some extra planes for like the multiplayer, and I played Halo 2 maybe like 5 times online, and I would always end up with like the most racist like 13-year-old kid in the lobby, and it was just like, no, I'm not doing this. So I stopped using it altogether, and I only played that stuff like couch, like like a LAN party type of situation, like playing with people in my room, not people online. It was the only thing. Yeah, and I didn't really play it. But yeah, so yeah, that's it for the games. But I'll be back tomorrow with another short. I'm gonna shoot a bunch of them after tonight's stream. But 300 episodes, yeah, like I was saying, I'm not counting the top 3 Tuesdays or the shorts or just some of the little piddly crap that I've done over the years. I'm talking full length, more than 10-minute videos. I've done 300 of those. Technically, I've probably done 350 when you take everything else into consideration. So like I've been doing this since 2014. I don't know when my anniversary is. Honestly, I probably had my 10-year anniversary already, but I never actually looked. Let me see when my first video actually hit. Let me take a gander. Talk amongst yourselves. And I'll take a dranky drank real quick. I don't remember if I started collecting in 2013. I don't recall if I started making videos in 2013 or if I started in early 2014. So I'm going to double check that real quick if my freaking computer will load YouTube. USOB. So my videos have been getting demonetized. The streams have been getting demonetized because I dropped a couple of F-bombs. So the pickup video that I did for May got demonetized because it says your content, like I have it, it's not for kids. I have it as like, it's not for kids. There is some strong language in these videos. And they're like, okay. And they're like, oh, no, after the fact, like, oh, we reviewed your video and it's not suitable for product or customer. Like, what is it? The monetization or whatever. And I've done you need to reconsider this crap over every single time. They finally said, okay. I'm like, look, I'm not using the F word in a sexual way. I'm using it as an exclamation point for something. It's not bad. Okay, here we go. Let me double check to see when my first video came out. If it'll freaking load. Okay, how many videos per page? Give me all of them. Give me 50. How about that? The hell was that? Okay, my first video came out January 20th, 2014. So my 10-year anniversary will be January 20th, 2024. So I did not miss my 10th anniversary. That's the only thing I was worried about, because I remember like a week ago, I was like, did I miss my anniversary at the beginning of the year? Or was it at the end of the year? I'm like, I could not remember. So I'm glad I didn't do it. So we'll do that at the beginning of next year. Thank you very much. Grats on 300. Thank you. I don't even know when I started. So yeah, like I said, I wasn't counting any of the shorts or the Dungeons and Dragons stuff or any of the videos I did before I was starting to do the video game content, like my little short films and everything. None of that. So yeah, that's pretty. I guess it's kind of cool, or it just means that I have so much free time to spend that I do this more than anything else. So while we're here, let's just do some chit chat, y'all. What you playing? What you watching? What you doing? I'm currently playing Star Wars Jedi Survivor. I'm right at the beginning of the end game, but I don't want the game to end because I'm enjoying it. So I'm going around and trying to find all the hidden seeds and the treasure chests and all that kind of stuff, and just go around the starting area, Kobo. I'm just going, or Cobol. I'm going around there just trying to find everything that I possibly can before I do the end game. But I'm really enjoying it. I wasn't really liking it at first. It's a little too samey, and it just I don't know, it just didn't feel right. Like the combo system wasn't feeling right for me for some reason. Story's cool, but it just I enjoyed the first game more, but then a certain thing happens, and if you haven't played the game yet, I'm not going to spoil it, but a certain thing happens at the halfway point That was one of the raddest things that's happened in a Star Wars video game in a long time. And it kind of made me go like, oh, okay. Now I'm in. And yeah, I'm all in on it now. I already have 2 games lined up for what I'm going to play when I finish Jedi Survivor, and I'm not going to say what they are because I just recently picked them up and they'll be in June's pickup stream, but they are new and I'm really excited about both of them. One of them because it surprises me what kind of modes this thing has built into it that none of the other games in this series has had so far, but I'm excited about it. Super Powereds. Playing some Mario Maker 2 tonight. Just picked it up. Nice. First video was apparently 10 years ago. There you go. You and me, bro. First video on this channel was like November 2019. Well, you were more hanging out in people's chat rooms and stuff for streams and stuff, weren't you, Peter? And then you started doing, because you were making music and intros and stuff for people. And then you got into actually making the videos. Because that was when you were doing the whole animated thing that you asked me to do the Mad Max story, right? Oh my God. I tooted. Your Polo? Oh no, I heard it beep, but I was at work. And I don't have, my new phone doesn't have an earphone jack. I have to get like the earbuds, like the AirBuds or whatever they are. And they're kind of pricey, so I usually don't watch stuff on my phone at work unless I'm like in like a private area or a quiet area where I'm alone or away from other people. But I remember the phone beeped to say that somebody had made a Polo. But I haven't watched it yet because I was at work, like I said. I am gassy. I had Chipotle tonight for dinner, and I am the pootsicle tonight. Yeah, you had your personal channel first. I swapped to Waves and Games in November. Yep. I remember that because you're always in Captain Algebra's. That's how I met you, I think, was in Captain Algebra's streams. But yeah, if you're interested in playing Jedi Survivor, if you like Star Wars, I would definitely recommend picking it up. It is a lot of fun. The story's really good. A lot of surprises. I'm curious where the story is going to end up going, but I have not done the end game stuff yet. So I'll probably beat it by this weekend, if not this weekend. Because after this, I'm going to shoot some shorts, and I'm going to go and try to find some more junk around Kobo. I can't remember if it's Kobo or Cobol. But yeah, I'm trying to avoid beating it too quickly. Yeah, we went some crab streams. They're cheap and work great. I need to get some. There's a guy that I work with that hides in this really filthy locker room area on our floor because he refuses to buy earbuds and he wants to watch videos on his phone full volume, but doesn't want to do it in front of people. So he like hides in this. It's like part of a bathroom, and you go in there to take a shit or take a piss, and you can hear him through the door in the next area, in the dirty ass area in the locker room, watching this stuff. And it's like, dude, just go and buy some earbuds and hang out with the rest of us in the office. He refuses to do it. I think he's older than me, so he's kind of like I'm rejecting the technology. Screw that stuff. I'll watch YouTube though on my phone. But yeah, right. I'm still writing some screenplay stuff. I'm toying with the idea of writing another Star Trek screenplay because the one that I wrote a couple of years ago that took me like 10 years to finish. That was the sequel to Nemesis, the Next Generation sequel to Nemesis. I'm thinking of writing a sequel to that to like finish off. Like, if you know me, you know how much I love Star Trek. The tagline for the last Star Trek Next Generation movie was "A generation's final journey begins." And from what I understood was that meant that they were planning like a trilogy of films within the series like they did with Star Trek 2, 3, and 4 because they're all connected. And it was like the way I saw that tagline, I was like, oh, okay, so this one's going to be A Generation's Final Journey Begins. The next one's supposed to be A Generation's Final Journey Continues. And the final one is A Generation's Final Journey Ends. So I'm taking that as the basis of my screenplay. So the one that I wrote, Restoration, is the tagline I put on the poster image that I did was A Generation's Final Journey Continues. And then I'm going to write the final one And I have plenty of ideas bouncing around in my head because I'm a crazy person for what it was. And definitely the tagline for that's going to be A Generation's Final Journey Ends. But it's funny watching the new the new season of Star Trek Picard, because some of my ideas from that restoration script, which I did not send out to anybody related to the show, anyone connected to the show, I went on Twitter and I was like, look, I'm not doing this to get a job. I'm not trying to sell this. I'm just happy and proud of this screenplay that I wrote, and I would like to share it with anyone from Next Generation that's interested in just reading it. So I tagged Jonathan Frakes and Marina Sirtis and Gates McFadden and Brent Spiner and Patrick Stewart and all of them, anyone who is on Twitter. And I was like, if you're interested in just reading this thing that I wrote, let me know and I'll send it to you. Only person who liked that post was Marina Sirtis, who I hear is the one that is the most, like the nastiest, like the meanest person of the crew in real life. Like she's really cynical, is the one that liked it. But she didn't say, yes, send it to me. But after watching the 3rd season of Picard, it's funny how much of my stuff from that screenplay that I wrote is kind of in that show in just slightly different form. So I was laughing with the whole thing about what happened with Data in Picard season 3, because I was like, oh, did somebody get wind of my screenplay? Because this is somewhat similar to what happened in my screenplay. Did somebody pass it along? Because I only sent it to maybe 4 people. So it's funny. We'll see. But yeah, I got like 2 screenplays I'm kind of working on every once in a while when I have some free time. Definitely writing a lot for the RPG. If you haven't been watching Tides of Flame on Twitch, and then when I post the replay here on YouTube, you don't understand. Like, I'm sure Mondane gets it, but you don't understand how much of that stuff is me ad-libbing, and I am not good at ad-libbing. I am not an improv guy, but you guys keep putting me in these weird spots that are completely off the beaten path of what I have planned, and I'm surprised I'm actually able to keep up. Like, you have no idea. Like in the last episode, in episode 5, the whole thing about you guys going, oh, I want to try to, or when the group decided that they wanted to try to find those pirates that are stealing or like hurting the people that are coming out of El Turel. And you're like, oh, we want to set a trap for them. Let's find them and like set the trap so they can stop hurting people. And like, I'm like, I was not prepared for this at all, because I expected it to happen the other way around when you guys are leaving El Turel, not when you're going. So I was like, I don't know what to do, but I managed. I muddled through. I got plenty of Star Trek stuff around here. I sold a lot of it. I think the only thing I have within arm's reach is my little Star Trek 5 shuttlecraft. And I used to play Star Trek Battle or Star Trek Attack Wing, which is that miniatures strategy board game. And I have the Scimitar from Star Trek Nemesis, which I liked. I just like the design of this ship, so I kept it. I sold the rest of the ships that I had. I had like 30 ships for that game, but that's the only one that I kept because I like the design. And there's never been like a model version of it. Any of the old toys, I got rid of all of it. I had all the Playmate stuff. Technically in my mom's crawl space. Okay, so when I was working at Kmart in high school, massive Star Trek fan, I have access to all this cool stuff. The guy that ran the toy section at Kmart knew that I was a Star Trek fan. Whenever a shipment of the Playmates Star Trek toys came in, he would like page me over the intercom and be like, 104 to the dock or whatever, 104 to receiving. And I'd go back there and he'd be like, okay, well, I'm loading up all the toys that I have to go out on the shelves. Here's all the new Star Trek stuff that came in. Take what you want. So I would take one of every action figure, one of every vehicle. There was a pewter like little starships that they had, and I would take all of them and run right over to layaway and throw them into layaway. And it would happen like once a month. And I had every single, even some of the limited edition action figures from the Star Trek, Deep Space Nine, and Voyager lines. And at home, I bought all of them. And I had them in boxes. I sold a box worth to Freak Toys the last time we went. But back when I started getting back into filmmaking in 2007 and 8, I sold all the Star Trek stuff. I had all the vehicles that I had them all over my old bedroom back at my parents' house. I had all of them, every one of them. And I had them all on display. But I sold all that stuff just so I could start. I had like money for making the movies or the short films that I was doing. But yeah, I don't have any of that stuff left. Just a couple of little Star Trek-y things. I have plenty of posters and stuff, but that's about it. The rare mini phaser? No, don't know which one you're talking about. But it was made by Playmates. I had it. I actually was selling a bunch of them. I was making my stock short film in 2008, and I sold all the weapons that I had, the little Star Trek Playmates toy weapons and all that. And I was selling a bunch of them on eBay, and this guy put in a bid. He didn't want to be outbid. I don't know where he got my phone number from, but he called me at home on my cell phone. And I'm like, hello. I didn't recognize the number, but I was like, hello. And the guy goes, hey, I'm the guy that's bidding on your Star Trek stuff right now. I'm like, oh. And he goes, yeah, my handle is, whatever it was on the screen. And I'm like, okay. He's like, you got to sell me this stuff. I'm trying to start a museum for like Star Trek memorabilia, and I need to have these. I need these. I can't find them anywhere else. I need these. And I'm like, okay. Well, if you put a maximum bid in, I'll just stop the auction. And he's like, okay. And I did that, and I was like, and I'm like, at the end of the phone call, I was like, and don't ever call me again. I'm like, this is creepy as hell. And I hung up on him. I do think I have this script. You know what? I'll be right back. I do have one kind of cool thing. I'll go grab it. Okay, so one of the cool things, I picked this up at a convention. It was a Star Trek convention in like 1994, I want to say. It was right before Generations came out, the first Next Gen movie. And I bought the Star Trek Generations, like the final shooting draft. So I had the movie spoiled for me before I saw it. And it is all here, but it does have the original ending where Kirk doesn't fall, like the bridge doesn't fall on Kirk like it happened in the final version. This is where Kirk gets shot in the back by Soren. So that's kind of cool. Because the whole thing with Kirk, like on that bridge, and then the bridge falls on top of Kirk, that was a reshoot. But this is the original version. There's also a couple of scenes that were cut, like in the movie, Geordi gets kidnapped by Soren, and then they kind of say that they show Geordi like without a shirt on, and his visor's missing, and Soren's like teasing him, going like, "Oh, I'm going to interrogate you for information or whatever." And then the next time you see Geordi, he gets beamed back to the Enterprise as an exchange for Picard, and they make a comment, like Dr. Crusher makes a comment like, "Oh, well, I removed the nanoprobes, and Geordi should be fine when he's in sickbay." Like, what nanoprobes? There was a whole scene where Geordi was being tortured by Soren, and he put like these nanoprobes in his body that would like cause him pain whenever he answered the question wrong. But when it comes to like other screenplays and stuff, that's one that I wrote. I bought this like 2 months before this movie came out. We have a phaser and a script from TAG at my grandparents. I bought this script 2 months before the movie came out, and I thought it was BS. I was like, this isn't what the movie's going to be like, is it? And then I saw the movie, and for the most part, it is. Before the reshoot, and this is before the reshoots happened. But I bought the original Mortal Kombat screenplay at a Star Trek convention. I think that was the one where I met Robert Duncan McNeil. And I saw this sitting there at one of the tables, and I was like, give it to me. A Mortal Kombat fan. And it's basically the movie. There's just a lot of, like, you can tell the fights were not going to be good. Like the whole reptile thing, the reptile fight was not in there because that was a reshoot. The way the reptile fight goes down in this is Johnny Cage and Liu Kang go to Outworld at the end. They go through that portal. They end up in Outworld, but they're in the living forest from the second game. And while they're walking through the living forest, Reptile jumps out, like as the little reptile character, jumps out at Liu Kang, and Liu Kang kind of knew it was coming. So he kind of turns around and grabs Reptile out of the air as he's jumping at him and throws him. But when he lands inside one of the mouths of one of the trees from the living forest, and the tree just bites him in half. And I was like, well, that's a missed opportunity. I remember reading the script on the way home, in the car on the way home, because we had to drive to Michigan, I think, to go to the convention, or Wisconsin. And I read the whole thing on the way home. And I was like, well, that was a wasted opportunity. You had a whole fight you could have had with Reptile, and that's done. And then I see the movie, and I was like, oh, no, they changed that for the better. The fight with Liu Kang the fight with Johnny Cage and Scorpion, like the whole fight in hell thing wasn't in there. It was like they fight in that I don't even think it was described as being in that rubber tree forest, but it was like they have like a random ass fight, and it ends with Johnny Cage doing a shadow kick to Scorpion's head, and he knocks him out. He doesn't kill him, he knocks him out. And that's what happened in the movie. You could see it happening in the movie, where he does the shadow kick at Scorpion, but Scorpion teleports them to the hell dimension. That was where the fight was supposed to end. And that's where it ends in the script. Yeah, that's really rad. I'm glad I bought that. But one of the other ones I have is a copy of the original Halloween script that I bought at a Star Trek convention of all things. It was weird, the kind of stuff you would find at Star Trek conventions in the 90s. It was like you would think it would just be Star Trek memorabilia and T-shirts and whatnot. No, there was tables that had nothing but soundtracks. There was tables that had nothing but bootleg VHS stuff of like movies that were only available in China, or stuff that was broadcast once on television and never shown again, kind of stuff. I remember I bought a bunch of bootleg VHS tapes. I bought a bootleg of Rumble in the Bronx before Rumble in the Bronx ever came out. And it was all in Cantonese, and I could not tell what was going on when they weren't speaking English. But I was like, this is kind of cool, because I remember seeing the commercials for Rumble in the Bronx, and I thought it looked pretty cool. And after Mortal Kombat, of course, I started getting really interested in martial arts movies. So I was like dying to see it, and I found it at a Star Trek convention. I was like, yeah. I bought the Fantastic Four, the Roger Corman Fantastic Four movie that never got released. I bought a bootleg of it there. There's crazy stuff. But then there was always one table that had like nothing but like screenplays and stuff. And I was like, I love to read this kind of stuff. It teaches me how to write them. So of course I want it. So I would find some interesting stuff. You got your Millennium Falcon from one? But yeah, this is exactly the way the movie is. It's interesting. And the weird thing is, it's like you read the screenplay and it's not scary. This is the Halloween screenplay is not scary at all. It's good. You can tell that there's cool stuff in it, but like you would never know by reading the screenplay that it was going to end up the way it did, because that movie, it's all about the visual scares and stuff like that. But then there's the ones that I wrote. So growing up, the first one that I ever really decided to write was, so I saw Mortal Kombat Annihilation. Like, I loved the first Mortal Kombat movie. And then Mortal Kombat Annihilation came out, and basically, I've talked about it before. I'll talk about it again when I do the movie live streams. But Mortal Kombat Annihilation was one of those movies I was in denial about. Like, I loved the first movie so much that when Annihilation came out, it took me seeing it 4 times in the theater. Because I saw the first Mortal Kombat movie like 7 times in the theater. It took me seeing Annihilation 4 times in the theater before I realized I hated it. Like, the first time I saw it, I was like, this is the best fucking movie ever. Like, oh my God, goddamn, this is amazing. And then I saw it by myself. Like, opening day, I called out of work. I went and saw the first screening. And I was like, that was the best. Oh my God, that could not have been better. Oh my God. But I had already promised a group of friends that I would see it with them that night. Went and saw it that night. And they're all like, it's all right. And I was like, yeah, it's pretty cool though, isn't it? I mean, they're like, eh. Then I saw it with a second group of friends like a week later. And they were just making fun of it the whole time. And I was like, yeah, it's all right, I guess. I mean, it's got some cool stuff. And they were like, where was the cool stuff? I don't know. And then I went and saw it again by myself a week after that. And I was the only person in the theater. And not having someone to like look at and be like, yeah, it's cool, isn't it? You know, kind of stuff. Just being there by myself. I was like, I did not realize how horrible this is. Like, this is almost unwatchable. Why am I doing this to myself? The only thing, like Peter says, the only thing about it that's worth the damn is the soundtrack. Like, the only reason I'm coming here is the fights and the soundtrack. Everything else about this is crap. So I didn't see it again, but I did buy it on DVD because I wanted to have it for the collection, and I have it on Blu-ray because it came with the first movie. But it pissed me off when I finally realized how much I hated it. It pissed me off so much, I decided to set a goal to write a screenplay for a third Mortal Kombat movie that fixed everything that Annihilation screwed up. So I wrote Mortal Kombat 3. And it was the first screenplay I ever wrote. Like, I'd written dinky little ones for the little short films we were making back in the 80s and 90s with that little Fisher-Price camera I've talked about a couple times. But it wasn't like in a real screenplay format. We're talking like this thing is how many pages? I wrote a Mortal Kombat 3 screenplay that is 132 pages long. And normally screenplays mean 1 page per minute of film. So I wrote an over 2 hours long Mortal Kombat film. But it's also because I didn't know that when you're writing screenplays, you're not supposed to actually describe action. You're just supposed to do the dialogue and what people are kind of doing in the scene, but not actually describing an entire fight, which is what I did, which is why the screenplay is so long, because there are pages and pages of descriptions of fights in here, which is not the way it's supposed to be. But then I let a couple of people read it, and they were like, all your characters are bipolar. I was like, yep. Like, Liu Kang is bipolar in this. Katana is bipolar. Sonya is beyond bipolar. I put Jax in this again. So the main characters in this one are... So I was going off of Mortal Kombat 4. Because they put so many Mortal Kombat 3 characters in the second Mortal Kombat movie, I had to pull characters from Mortal Kombat 4. So the main characters of this are Liu Kang, Sonya, Jax, Katana, and Kai from Part 4. And it's all about Shinnok and Quan Chi and all that. And yeah, everyone just like at the drop of a hat, they'll just change their attitude. Like we're having a nice civil conversation. Then all of a sudden, I goddamn hate you, kind of stuff. So it's pretty bad. So like 4 years ago, I decided to rewrite it, and I'm currently working on that too. And I fixed it. I know how people talk now. And I know not to describe the fights, and it's definitely going to be a shorter screenplay. But this one I wrote back in 1998, I think, 1998. And I followed that up with Killer Instinct. So I got bored. The job that I was at when I wrote this was a limousine company, and I worked in the billing department, and I worked on the second shift. And once my work was done, like entering the bills and like the payments from the limo drivers and stuff into the computer, I would be sitting there for like 2 or 3 hours with nothing to do. So I would always have a legal pad with me, and I would just start writing screenplays out by hand. And I, for shits and giggles, so this is video game related too, not just because this is Killer Instinct. This was when the Nintendo 64 was, the thing, and that Double D thing, the disc drive add-on was supposed to come out over here, and they were saying that there was going to be that evolved version of Mario Paint that was going to come out with it. And they said you can animate whole scenes with it. And I was like, I can make a movie. So I was trying to think of movies that I could make with it, because I used to make stupid movies with Mario Paint. I'm like, how can I can animate 3D models and stuff like that, and I was like, I'm gonna make a Killer Instinct movie with it. And I started writing the script out by hand. What's up, Retro Coop? And this one is better than the Mortal Kombat 3 script that I wrote, but not by much, because it has a lot of stupid, like the video game has a lot of stupid racial stereotypes. This one is only 103 pages long. But what's his name? Thunder is just a bunch of Native American stereotypes. TJ Combo is just a bunch of African American stereotypes. Like I didn't know any better back then. But every character that was in the original Killer Instinct video game is in here, and there are some cool fights that would have been real pain in the ass to animate if I did do that. But there was a woman that I worked with, this older woman. She had to be like 40 years older than me. She saw me writing on the legal pad at work one night, and she's like, "What you doing?" And I was like, "Oh, I'm writing out a screenplay." She's like, "Screenplay?" I'm like, "Yeah, I like write screenplays in my free time for fun." And she's like, "Can I read it?" And I was like, "Yeah, sure." I'm like, "You're not going to know what it's about. It's based on a video game." She's like, "That's okay." She got hooked on me writing this thing. She would always, every day I'd come into work, "Did you write any more? Because I want to see what happens to Jago." I'm like, "What?" And when I finished it, she's like, "You're going to write another one?" Because I ended it with a cliffhanger. She's like, "You're going to write another one?" I was like, "No." I'm not wasting my time on something that it's never going to get made. And she was like, "Oh, I just want to know what happens to Jago." So I started writing out a second one, but I gave up on it. But the one that I've never, this one I because it's me. I did write a Tron 2 screenplay back in 2001. And this is absolutely nothing like the movie we got. This is nothing like Jago. Yeah. I always called him Jago. Well, that's the way the announcer goes, Jago! Yeah, it's nothing like Tron Legacy or anything like that. It's honestly pretty. I think this one is pretty bad because it's essentially the first movie all over again with Flynn. The whole point of this one is Flynn is in charge of Encom, which is what happened at the end of the first movie. He's got a wonderkind programmer that's created this like virtual reality. I call it the virtual holocube. It's like a virtual reality system because back in the day, that was the thing everyone was talking about was, oh, we're going to have virtual reality. It's going to be awesome. Lawnmower Man. And he hates Flynn because he resents the fact that Flynn is considered like the savior of video games. And here's this guy created this awesome thing that's going to revolutionize gaming and nobody's giving him the time of day. So he tries, Flynn gets sucked back into the digital world through this holocube thing and finds out that Tron is actually the bad guy now. Tron is turned into the MCP essentially. And it turns into it's the same as the first movie all over again where Tron's the bad guy instead. But Sark is there. Sark has been resurrected. The MCP is in his body. And so there's two bad guys. You got Tron and you've got Sark, but in the end, it didn't amount to much. And it has, I think, the worst line of dialogue I've ever written as the final line of the movie. Let's go. Any of you ready to butter up some investors? End scene. No. It's terrible. Terrible. What we got was way better. But the one I've never told anybody about that I was writing this way back in the day. This is probably back in 2003. And I had a cool idea for it too, but I didn't know how to sustain it, which is why I stopped writing it. I did a Castlevania screenplay. And like I said, I think I had a cool idea for it, but I couldn't sustain it because it's like, okay, I got to build up to the castle. I got to set up these characters. I got to set up a love story. I had Alucard in it. I had Simon in it. I had set up a love romance thing for him. But I was like, I didn't want to get to the castle too soon because once you get into the castle, it's just going to be nonstop action. So I was trying to spend more time outside the castle and have the third act be the castle part. But I couldn't sustain it. Like I ran out of things to happen outside of the castle before he got to the castle. So yeah, it just kind of went nowhere. But I mean, it was fun writing it because I came up with some cool things. I think I made Simon really interesting, and I gave him a really cool love interest. And I thought I made Alucard pretty cool. I made him very mysterious at the beginning until you find out what he's all about. So yeah, whatever. A lot of red bones. What's a red bone? But yeah, now I'm writing like 2 different screenplays. One of them is the rewrite of Mortal Kombat 3 that I'm just doing for shits and giggles. It's not because I intend to do anything with it. The other one is another one. I'm just like, I just write these for fun. I have no intention of selling. I take that back. There is one that I have been writing for the past like three years that I had the intention of selling when I first started writing it. But I think the whole Sci-Fi Channel Sharknado-y thing has kind of run its course. So no one's going to want my stupid little cheapy monster movie thing, but I'm going to finish writing it anyway and see what happens because it's not licensed from anything. So it's all my complete creation. So we'll see if I can do something with it. If so, sure. If not, whatevs. If I can just sell it for $1,000, I'd be happy. Oh, red vines. So we'll see. But outside of that, yeah, writing for the Dungeons and Dragons campaign, it's going well. But like I said, half of the stuff that you see in those videos is not stuff that I had pre-planned for. It's all improv. But you guys are keeping me on my toes, which is what keeps it fun for me because it makes me have to come up with stuff on the spot. And some of the stuff I come up with on the spot, I never would have thought of just by writing it out in advance. So that's what's making it cool, at least for me. But I got some cool stuff planned and some surprises for the campaign. I think you guys are going to enjoy where it ends up going. When it comes to movies, let me see. I just got another movie in the mail today. It's another one that I've replaced on 4K with where I've replaced my Blu-ray with a 4K version. Last movie I saw? Oh, last movie I saw in the theater was Fast 10. Me and my friends go see all the Fast and Furious movies, and it's definitely better than the last one. But don't get me wrong. This one's probably the best one they've had since Part 7. Still not good, but this one is no plot. It is just all I have never seen a movie that is 2.5 hours long and is nothing but action. There's no breaks. It's like action scene, we talk for a minute. Another action scene, we talk for a minute. Another action. If you like the final or Fast and Furious movies, or just like a good old nonstop action-a-thon, just go see Fast 10. It's super fun. And it has a lot of surprise characters that just randomly pop up that you thought were dead. That like nobody dies in these damn movies. There's characters that have been dead for 4 movies, and they're like, "Oh, here I am. Hey guys, you didn't see me die, so I ain't dead." But it was like characters just popping up, like, really? That guy? Really? Her? But it's a lot of fun. Probably going to go and see Spider-Verse this weekend by myself. Maybe I'll go see it with Jeremiah. Got another podcast I'm recording on Monday. We're recording the Super Enabler Brothers with Mondane this Saturday night. We're starting the 3 final episodes of the movie is starting. We're going to start recording those on Monday. We usually do like a franchise, a film franchise, like all the movies in a film franchise, as like a little mini series within the season. And this year we're doing Blade. So we're going to record the first episode with Church the Game Grinder and Jason from Corpse Flood Gaming watching Blade. And the cool thing is I've seen Blade. Jeremiah, my co-host, has seen Blade. Jason has seen Blade. Josh has not seen Blade, or Church has not seen Blade. So he's going to be watching it for the first time on Monday. So we got 3 people who are experienced with it and 1 that isn't. And then Nick and Lorelai that we play Dungeons and Dragons with, they play Greksha and Nazriel. They're going to watch Blade 2 with us. And then for Blade Trinity, I had the bright idea of having, like, there's guests that we have every single season that we've had every single season since the first season, and we call them the unofficial third hosts of the podcast, and that's Brian Graupner of the Gothsicles, Liz. Oh God, what's her last name? Shit. God damn it. What's her name? Liz. Liz MacArthur and Jason Deichler, DJ Intel. We've had them on each season, sometimes multiple times in a season. So we decided to get the third hosts, the people that we call third hosts, together for one podcast, and we're going to watch Blade Trinity, which is, I think, the worst movie in the franchise, which I think gives us more opportunities to make fun of it. And all 3 of them have signed on for it. We're going to do that in 2 weeks. This week we're doing Blade 1. Following week we're doing Blade 2. The week after that we're doing Blade 3. And then the season's over. I don't know if we're going to continue with it after this because my schedule might be changing again and might be later than I get off now. So we might not be able to continue with it after that, but we'll see how it goes. But the Super Neighbor Brothers podcast, it's Jason's schedule is like so up and down because like one week he'll be working morning shifts, the next week he's working midnight shifts, so we can never actually lock down when we're going to be able to record a podcast. We were going to record one last week. This pissed me off. I keep on talking about when I start talking about movies in the pickup streams that there's these 2 YouTube channels that I watch. There's one that's films at home, and the other one is Serial at Midnight. Both hosts of those shows seem like really cool guys, right? So I said to Jason, I'm like, hey, we always have a video game person as a guest on the Super Neighbor Brothers show. Why don't we try to have someone who specializes in movies on their YouTube channel, and we'll talk to them about collecting and apply it to video games and comics and all this kind of stuff. And I said, how about we contact Heath from Serial at Midnight, because he seems like a really cool and knowledgeable guy. And Jason's like, yeah, sure, whatever. So I contacted, he doesn't have it on Twitter where you can actually send him a direct message. So I just tweeted at him. I'm like, hey, Serial at Midnight, we do this podcast. We'd be interested in talking to you and interviewing you about collecting. Would you be interested? And he liked the post. And at the end of my post, I was like, contact us, like DM me and let me know if you're interested. He liked the post. And I took that as him saying like, yeah, I'm interested. So I'm like, okay. And I text Jason. I'm like, yeah, I think Heath is interested. So what was it, last week? I messaged him again while I tweeted at him. And I was like, hey, Serial at Midnight, we're talking about recording this podcast this upcoming Saturday night. If you're interested, send me a DM and we'll talk about the schedule. And he liked that post again, but he never actually contacted me. And I'm like, dude, what's going on? You obviously are interested if you're liking the post, or you're just liking the post so you don't seem like a dick. I was like, just even text me no. I don't care. Just DM me and say not interested, and I'll be like, okay, fine. That's, whatever. But just liking it and not saying anything after that was just really got on my nerves. And like Jason's like, are we going to record tonight? And I was like, I don't feel like it. Like, obviously Heath's not going to do it. He hasn't contacted me. I don't feel like doing it tonight now because I'm pissed. I was like, well, just forget about it. So now we got Mondane doing it instead. And I was like, you know what? I'd rather have somebody that I know instead of trying to go outside the box. That was a bad idea. I'm like, we'll just go with someone I know. That's cool. We'll do that instead. It's what we know. It's what we do for all these other episodes where we have guests. We'll just go back to what we do. And it'll be a fun interview because Mondane's cool. So I was really, you have no idea how pissed I was last week. I'm like, dude, even if when I was doing all the one of the reasons I stopped doing collaborations was, number one, wrangling everybody is a pain in the ass. You're not in second place. When it came to actually picking someone who I knew would show up, you were first place. Like doing all the collaboration videos and stuff, like wrangling all the people, number one, is a pain in the ass. Number two, getting people to actually follow through is an even bigger pain in the ass. And like, for me personally, I'm like, look, if I send you an invite and say like, hey, I like your channel, I like your content, I really would enjoy it if you would, help me out and like be a part of this big collaboration we're doing with the other YouTubes. It's all about the community kind of thing. I'm like, it's not because I want the cool people on my channel. It's because I like your content. I want to show the support for your show, for your channel. I'd love for you to do like this thing with us. And then if you need me to do something for you, no problem. I'll drop what I'm doing and do it. Don't even send me a message back saying no. They just like let it floating out, like leave it floating out there. And I'm like, so many people I've sent emails to or messages, and it's like, hey, would you be interested in being part of this giant collaboration I'm doing? And like never hear anything. Just say no. Just leaving me hanging like that just annoys the hell out of me. So, so that's why one of the reasons why I stopped doing the collaboration. Number two, editing takes forever because especially why did I decide to do 20 people in the last one? Why? What was I thinking? That took a year to do. Oh. Anyway, yeah, I'm not doing those anymore. You sent me some weird ass intros, but I love them. They're funny. they're like funny awkward, and I like it. Everybody sent me intros, sends me good ones. There's some I realized like every time I pick one for the beginning of one of these streams, I realize that a bunch of the ones that I have, the video itself has like 4 or 5 intros in it that are all strung together, and I got to like go in there and slice them out so I can start using them. Like I have one by Richard W. that I haven't used yet because there's like 10 of them in one video, and I got to go in there and slice them apart. And every time I use the John Riggs one, the one that I have from John Riggs, actually has like 3 of them in there too that are all strung together. But like, if I feel bad because he's got his like little warm up at the beginning, and every time I show it at the beginning of one of the streams, you see him go, like he's getting ready, and then he goes, "Hey," and I want to cut those out. It's awkward, so I need to go in there and do some editing. But yeah, I got a ton of them from when I was doing the month of licensed games videos. That burned me out on editing. I haven't edited anything since. The only thing I'm releasing that isn't live streams are the shorts and the D&D streams, and I don't have to edit any of that. I just do them all in one shot when it comes to the shorts. But yeah. So I need to send a message to Seth and congratulate him on getting invited to, what is that con in Texas or something? He's going to be like a special guest. He was kind of upset about like that show that he was doing, the Texas Chainsaw, I always call him Texas Chainsaw, Tiger Chainsaw show that he was like putting all that effort into and nobody was watching them. And he put out that video saying that he was going to stop doing them because they aren't getting views. So he's going to do some more mainstream stuff that he knows will get views. And now his channel's like expanding because of it. It's just weird that it's like that. Like I got to do something that everyone else is doing just to get views. But when I do the thing that I really want to be doing, nobody gives a shit. It was like with my license, my month of license things. I was like, okay, I'm doing something outside the box. Nobody talks about licensed games and shit because nobody cares. And I was like, oh, this will probably get views because it's different. Nobody watched them. Nobody. But I really didn't care because I liked doing them. But it's cool that he's finally getting some recognition, so I got to send him a congratulations thumbs up. And hopefully he can come out game hunting with us in August. I'm inviting a bunch of people were supposed to come out here in Algorithm Curse. Yeah, I know, right? A bunch of Wisconsin YouTube gamers were supposed, like TJ and Captain Algebra and Rocket Sauce and Tiger Chainsaw were supposed to come up, and Mega Matt were supposed to come up in January to go game hunting out here in Chicago. And I had planned this whole afternoon of awesomeness, and I had it all scheduled out. I made reservations for Pequod's Pizza for dinner. We're going to go to Kuma's Corner for lunch and get those gigantic ass burgers. And I had a whole route planned out how we're going to do it all in one afternoon, all these different game stores. And then like Wisconsin got hit with like 10 feet of snow and got canceled. And I was like, oh man, this is like a super bummer because I really wanted to like hang out with everybody. And now like we really haven't had the time. Now we got like Mo GameCon coming up, so I don't want to spend a lot of money because I got that coming up. Cap doesn't want to spend a lot of money because that's coming up. I'm sure that all the other people that are going to be there are in the same boat. So now we're talking about doing it in August. Or me and Cap are talking about it in August. Once we get closer is when I start sending out messages to everybody. But yeah, for my birthday, we might go game hunting. Instead of doing it in Wisconsin, we'll do it out here and go to Pequod's for dinner and Kuma's for lunch. You may come up to the con. Oh, you're going to come up for Midwest Gaming Classic? Because, dude, it is the shit. It is so. There is like I still don't see everything in the weekend. It's technically 3 days. If you want to pay extra, you can do the preview night on Friday and go into the arcade early and go into the vendors hall early and buy stuff if the vendors are set up. I never actually do that. But like there's so much stuff there that Saturday and Sunday I never get to see everything. So it's pretty awesome. And of course I end up spending more money than I should. Although I was very proud of myself this year because I came home with I brought $2,400 with me to spend. And I came home and I still had $700 left. So I was very proud of myself because that never happens. I always go Chris, try not to spend all your money. Try to come home with some, behave. And then I come home and I'm like, I spent $300 more than I actually had. When the moment they said, hey, we take credit cards, I'm like, you ass. So I was really proud of myself. Although I really did want to get that copy of Golden Axe Warrior. But I ended up getting Guardian Heroes instead for the Saturn. But yeah, I behaved. Should I be proud of myself? I don't know. I have a sneaking suspicion that if Jason from Corpse Flood Gaming was actually at the convention this year, I probably would not have come home with that $700 because he would have just enabled the shit out of me the whole weekend. And I would have bought a whole bunch of stuff I didn't need or want. We take the firstborn children, basically. You want to take my spoins? I guess. But yeah, the con is awesome. I have fun. I have so much fun every year. Did you meet up with Retro Rivals at that Siege or whatever it was? Did you guys do that already? Did that happen? Because I don't remember seeing anything about it. I remember you made the video for their benefit about what you should bring to a con, but I don't remember hearing anything about it. So let me know. Yeah, we're going to actually be playing D&D next Friday night. We've been doing it on Saturday the last 2 streams. Siege is next month. Okay, that's why I haven't heard anything. Yeah, with last 2 streams for D&D we've done on Saturday. Because schedules, we're going to do one this upcoming, not tomorrow, next Friday, for probably 3 hours maybe, or whatever, 3.5 or whatever. So we can actually get some gameplay in. It'll be I think the shortest amount of time between sessions we've ever had. So we'll get a shorter one in, and then we can have another long one after everyone goes on vacation or finishes their trips or whatever. And that'll be awesome. We'll go back to Saturday after that. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to that. Where the story, because like I said, I have some cool ideas for where the story should go, so we'll see how it plays out. Outside of that, I'm not really sure what else is going on. Yeah, Mo GameCon's coming up at the end of July. I'm going out there with Captain Algebra's coming out here to pick me up, and we're gonna go together. He's gonna drive. We're gonna go down there together. We got an Airbnb. It's going to be me, Captain Algebra, 8-Bit Glitch, Do You Nerd, Midwest Media Show, Gaming Off the Grid. I think that's it. But we always end up meeting up at the con with TJ. We did last year. We met up with TJ Kitsune. We met up with Megamat, the Game Beaters, what's his name? Retro Mikey. I'm trying to think who else. And because the convention's only one day, the convention only happens on Saturday. We get there Friday night. We always go to this. I guess they always go. My first time was last year. They always go to this bar that's like Mario themed and has an arcade in it on Friday night. And then we go out for dinner. And then Saturday night after the convention is over, everybody comes, all the YouTube gamers that we know come back to the Airbnb and we all hang out and play games all night. Peter's there. Last year, what was it? They set up Mario Dance Dance Revolution and streamed it. And I was like, I'm not taking part in this at all. So like I was talking to Dan B from the Game Beaters, and I was like, well, I brought my Retro Freak and I loaded it up with ROMs. So if there's any games you want to see that you've never played before, and you want to try them out, let me know and I'll take you downstairs. He's like, I've never actually seen the Retro Freak before. I'm like, okay, let's go check it out. And then TJ came down, Mega Matt came down, and Captain Algebra even came down, and he's like, you wouldn't happen to have, for the TurboGrafx, you wouldn't happen to have New Adventure Island, would you? And I was like, yeah, it's on one of the memory cards I have here. And he's like, can you boot it up? I'm going to try it out. Because he was looking for that game at the convention. And he played it for like a good 15 minutes. And he's like, okay, I actually do want this game. This is really fun. But like Dan B was playing a whole bunch of different games I had on the memory card. It was a bunch of homebrewy hack things. Because I had the hack of, what was it, Power Blade, but it was Captain America and the Winter Soldier. And then I had the Big Trouble in Little China hack, which I think is Kabuki Quantum Fighter, if I remember correct. No, it's Bad Dudes. And a bunch of other ones like that, which are kind of fun. So I'm kind of curious as to what we're going to do this year. So we'll see what happens. Oh, yeah, and on Friday night, we always end up playing, everyone else, I didn't, end up playing Tiger Woods 2006 or 7 or something like that all night long while drunk. So we'll see how that goes. So, yeah, we're coming up on the 3-hour mark, so I guess I can cut it off here so I can shoot some of these shorts. I think the first one I'm going to do is a review. So, yeah, thanks everybody for coming and hanging out with me tonight and chit-chatting for a while and letting me show off some stupid geeky stuff that I've done in the past. So, yeah, tomorrow, new short. Next week will be part 2 of the Xbox series. So it'll be episode 2 of that, followed by another short on Friday. And that night, the stream of Tides of Flame episode 6 over on Twitch. So twitch.tv/theoldassretrogamer. So, yes, Tides of Flame. Y'all know what time it is.
Emotional damage.
So go over and give me a follow on Twitch if you haven't already. So I will talk to you all next week. Have a good night, everybody. Stay safe out there. Chris, the old ass retro gamer, out. Hopefully, if I hit the right damn button. Know what I should do for a post-credit thing. Leave me alone!